What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 4 Ma. Chapter 71 Here we come. Everyone is here. Open black lens bracket 5/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. So, shall we contact Luffy and them? Chopper's expression tightened. There is no other way. Sanji sighed helplessly. Of course he wouldn't want to disturb Luffy and the others if he could. But helpless. The enemy they are facing in front of them is really too strong. To date, Sanji couldn't even imagine that a child of 6 or 7 years old could be so powerful that it was unimaginable. Even he can't shake the opponent. This is the first time they have encountered such a young and terrifying monster whose strength is far beyond their imagination. This kind of monster, only the whole team will go all out. Otherwise, one-on-one, no one will be a match for this monster. This monster, what does he want to do? Sanji keeps an eye on Layfon. He still can't figure it out. Why did the other party allow them to take the initiative to contact the crew members? Could it be, does the opponent really have such strong confidence in his own strength? Want to wipe out their entire Straw Hat Pirates? Just underestimate the Straw Hat Pirates. But thinking of Layfon's strength just now, Sanji was moved. Then, Nami was tense, and took out the phone bug with a nervous expression on his face. In front of Layfon, he finally gritted his teeth and dialed the phone bug. Boo boo boo. The unique piercing sound spread in all directions. Too crazy. Kebi looked at Layfon's back with shock on his face. He didn't even dare to think about it. Layfon actually tried to shake the entire Straw Hat Pirates by himself. Mr. Layfon, will it work? Belumbo was a little panicked. With Mr. Layfon's strength, there should be no problem. Kirby's tone was a little less confident. The voice of the phone bug lingered in Shui Feng's ears. Right, that is it. Only in this way, the game is much more interesting. Only more participants can make this game interesting. Layfon kept smiling. He stood where he was, waiting quietly. Even so, when he stood here, he still gave Nami, Sanji, and Chopper on the opposite side an endless sense of oppression, making the expressions of the three unnatural and highly tense. Finally, the phone bug dialed. Nami, what's the matter? A slightly green, immature and full of doubts sounded from the phone bug. Luffy. Nami bit her pink lips lightly, crying. As if she had found a backbone, she immediately vented all her despair and many other emotions, crying to the phone bug. Nami, what did you bump into? Luffy's voice became high and angry. Marine. We were found by Marine. They have found going merry. Nami gritted her teeth and hurriedly told the truth. Marine. W. Luffy was a little taken aback. Moment. Luffy spoke again. Nami, you wait, we will return to going merry immediately. The phone bug hung up. Nami lost her mind, holding a phone bug, her delicate body trembling with fear. Advertisement. Nami, don't worry, it will work. This guy is so arrogant, he will pay dearly for his arrogance. Sanji supported Nami with a serious and solemn tone. Certainly. He never ignored it. The looming tingling sensation in his waist still caused him unbearable pain, his face was pale, and his breath became very disordered. A face-to-face, after Sanji was instantly killed by Layfon, his state also plummeted. This kick directly shattered several of Sanji's ribs. 3. Don't be too nervous, I won't do anything to you. After all, a living pirate is much more valuable than a dead one. And I'm also a marine who doesn't like to kill people. I prefer to capture the pirates and send them all to the impelled-down submarine prison. Layfon looked at the three of them with a smile, and spoke in a calm tone. Only, to the three of Sanji, these words were not much different from being killed. What's the difference between being sent to impel down and dying? They don't think so. They can escape from that huge prison. Even freedom is imprisoned. What's the point of being alive? How the hell did you find us? Sanji stared at Layfon, questioning calmly. I said it was a coincidence, do you believe me? Layfon smiled. Lie. Chopper snorted, and retorted angrily, if it's just a coincidence, how could you directly lock on our current location? To this, Layfon still smiled and replied. That only shows that you have made too much noise during this period. That's why so many people have noticed your whereabouts. You guys are really too noisy. I was just ordered to arrest you. Even if I don't come, there will be other Marines who will come to arrest you. I can reveal some secrets to you. Actually, you have seriously attracted the attention of some people above. Now you should understand, why can I find the reason where you are so accurately finished. Whether it's Sanji, or Nami, or Chopper, they all feel a bit of coolness sweeping over their bodies. Creepy. Scalp tingling. Emotion. They have been seriously targeted by Marine. This is not a good sign. Mr. Layfon, is it really okay to say so much? Kebi couldn't help but reminded him aloud. Almost forgot. Layfon laughed loudly, and looked at Sanji and the others in front of him. There are some secrets, and it's still inconvenient for me to reveal them. So, you just treat what I just said as a joke, and don't take it seriously. Fat. Beru Meber. Sanji and Nami. Are Marine's personalities so unique now? The three of Sanji looked at Layfon strangely. Sanji, what shall we do? Chopper asked in a low voice. It pondered. Should I think of a way to escape from this guy's nose? In this way, they don't have to fight each other head on. Chopper always has a sense of foreboding. This guy may not have tried his best to deal with them just now. This guess made Chopper feel even more frightened. I didn't try my best, just fell asleep. If the opponent does his best, how powerful can he be? Chopper couldn't imagine it. Can't escape. Sanji shook his head with a heavy face. If he could escape, he wouldn't be in such a mess. This guy's speed is very strange, as if he can teleport. We want to escape from this guy's nose, it is much more difficult than defeating him head-on. Sanji analyzed it very calmly. Advertisement. In their current situation, they can only wait for all members to get together, so as to have a head-on confrontation with Layfon. Only in this way can the crisis be resolved. Also, there is no second way to allow them to survive this catastrophe safely. The atmosphere is depressing. The chilling air still lingers in this small room. About 10 minutes passed. Finally, there was a movement outside the door. Tread, tread. It's footsteps. Immediately, Layfon came alive, his eyes flickered, and a ray of light flashed across his face. The smile on his face became brighter and his expression became playful and full of expectation. It's finally here. The rest of the Straw Hat Pirates. Obviously. Footsteps. More than one person. Comers are not limited to 1 or 2. At least 3 people to start. From this, it can be judged that 9 out of 10 comers are members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Layfon can basically eliminate the possibility that the person coming is from the CP9 organization or the Carrera shipyard. The possibility of people coming from these 2 parties is close to 0. The conquerors just now must have been deeply remembered by the people of Carrera Shipbuilding Company. They are very smart and know who should not be provoked. As for the CP9 organization, with Kaku as the messenger, Layfon can take a conservative view initially. Without absolutely adequate preparation, it is absolutely impossible for CP9 to clash with Layfon. Therefore, based on the above analysis, Layfon will be able to accurately judge that the person who came must be a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Is the sound of footsteps. At the same time, Sanji also heard the sound of footsteps from his ears, and a look of joy appeared on his face. It must be Luffy and the others. Luffy, Zoro, are they finally back? Chopper and Nami were full of excitement and anticipation. Jows. Your arrogance will eventually become the reason for your defeat. Sanji stared at Layfon and snorted coldly. Really? Then I'm really looking forward to it. Layfon smiled disapprovingly. At this time, crunch. The door was pushed open. Then, a man wearing a straw hat, a man with a green turban on his head, and a man with a long nose, all 3 stepped into the room at the same time. Straw Hat Luffy, Sword Lord Zoro, Sniper Usopp. Nami. Luffy's voice resounded loudly, full of anger and anxiety. Hear this shout. Nami and Chopper were excited. Sanji was biting a cigarette at the corner of his mouth, and he exhaled white smoke. His shoulders that were feeling the pressure were finally relieved a bit, the pressure was dispersed, and it was no longer just depressing on his shoulders. Coming. Everyone is back. Although Robin is missing, the main combat power of the Straw Hat Pirates has gathered here. If this is the case, there is no way to deal with that guy in front of you. So today, it will be the day of their entire Straw Hat Pirates' demise. In this battle, you can only win but not lose. If this battle is lost, no doubt, from now on, the Straw Hat Pirates will be completely removed from this sea. Advertisement Chapter 72 Alone, Fighting the Straw Hat Pirates Alone. Open black lens bracket 6/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Can only win. Can't lose. Once you lose, it will be annihilated. The Straw Hat Pirates will be wiped out by this guy. Sanji took a deep breath and bit down on his cigarette with a heavy heart. The outcome depends on this game. This is all the power of the Straw Hat Pirates. If even this can't help the opponent, Sanji really can't think of how to keep the Straw Hat Pirates alive. I never dreamed of it. Our entire pirate group needs to work together to deal with a monster who is only 6 or 7 years old. This, who can imagine? The shock in Sanji's heart was hard to calm down. Call. After exhaling heavily, Sanji stared at the young figure holding a samurai sword with a solemn face. Although he is young, it is this figure that gives Sanji endless pressure. Sanji couldn't breathe, his heart was beating extremely stiffly. Luffy. When they saw Luffy and Zoro, Nami and Chopper couldn't help shouting, with tears in their eyes, and they were overjoyed. When you see Luffy, you see a savior. Nami and Chopper firmly believe. Any strong enemy will never knock down their Straw Hat Pirates. Especially with Luffy. There is no enemy that can defeat Luffy. They have always believed in this. No matter how strong this guy in Marine is, he will never be able to defeat their Straw Hat Pirates. Nami, Chopper, your injuries. Luffy's pupils shrank. Soon, he saw the injuries on Chopper and Nami. Chopper's hair was stained with bloodline, as well as Nami's messes and scars, all of which were clearly visible in Luffy's eyes. Suddenly, Luffy's expression became angry. Unforgivable. How dare you hurt my partner? No matter who it is, it will not be forgiven. We must make the other party pay a painful price. I'm going to blow them away. Luffy clenched his fists and shouted angrily. Marine. The moment 877 stepped into the gate, Zoro's eyes focused on Layfon and Kebi and Berumeber behind him. His eyes were sharp, and his face was full of caution and vigilance. Danger. Zoro's sixth sense tells him that among the 3, that young figure is the most dangerous. Quote. A swordsman. A swordsman in Marine. A swordsman so young. Zoro looked a little moved. Obviously, this scene made him somewhat unexpected. Swordsman in Marine is not uncommon, what is rare is such a young and immature swordsman. The scariest thing is, it's this young figure, but it exudes a menacing aura that makes Zoro tense up. It's incredible. Rao is Zoro's experience, he is very happy with the scene in front of him. Such a young swordsman, but it brought such a majestic threat to himself. Such instances are very rare. So far, Zoro is the first time to experience such a horrific event. It was the first time for him to feel such a sense of crisis from such a young child. Where is this fire sacred? I've never heard of it before. There is such a number one character in Marine. So young, yet powerful and terrifying. And still a swordsman. Zoro's heart sank. The visitor is not good. This group of uninvited guests is not easy. The people they saw in front of them were not the Marines they had encountered in the past. The three Marines in front of me, especially the youngest, Bed H, young one, are very terrifying. Even Zoro, he couldn't predict how powerful the opponent would be. All in all, Zoro has powerful premonitions. The opponent's strength is probably unfathomable. Nami, Chopper, advertisement. Usopp yelled in concern. Usopp. Chopper rushed straight to Usopp, hugging Usopp's thigh with tears in his face. Finally found someone to vent. The pressure that had been suppressed in Chopper's heart for a long time was completely released at this moment. Chopper, the wound on your body. Usopp saw it clearly. Chopper's injury is more serious, although it is not life-threatening, but it is definitely not serious. The hair on its body has already been stained with blood, which has coagulated on the hair. Hateful. These guys. Usopp also stared angrily in Layfon's direction. He is timid by nature, but he also has everything in his heart to stick to. Companion. This is the bottom line he must stick to. Anyone who tries to hurt his partner will not be forgiven. Is it Marine? Marine, you found us. Even straight to going merry. Usopp looked serious, clutching the slingshot in his hand. Not so good. Marine, is there an ambush already? Is there any conspiracy here? Usopp thought a lot for a while, and the pressure in his heart was getting bigger and bigger. The atmosphere is subtle. The air seemed to freeze. Luffy, don't be impulsive. Usopp's face was heavy, and he hurriedly reminded Luffy beside him. The situation is unclear, and a rash move is likely to hit the opponent's hands. At least, it is not too late to wait until after observing the situation. But things didn't develop as Usopp expected. Luffy's character, there is no tolerance in waiting. No matter who, how dare you hurt my partner? Unforgivable, I must personally beat the three of you into the air. Luffy's eyes were ablaze with rage. Fiery flames blazed in his pupils. Luffy clenched his fists and faced Layfon's direction. For a while, tension. The atmosphere became even more depressing. A chilling air emerged spontaneously. Can feel. A fierce battle is about to break out at any time. The tranquility of the atmosphere now. Just like the calm before the storm. It's long overdue to say that. Zoro took a deep breath, and slowly took out a knife from his waist. A bite in the mouth, holding two knives in both hands. Mito stream. He's ready for a full-scale attack. Murderous aura, unleashed from the pupils of Zoro's eyes. SX Kappa, you're not very good at it, you're actually in such a mess. Zoro frowned, noticing the injury on Sanji's body, with a playful and provocative look on his face. Green algae head, proceed if you can. Later, don't get beaten and cry. Sanji bit his cigarette and snorted with a strange expression. In one-on-one situations, Sanji doesn't think that anyone in the Straw Hat Pirates can deal with this monster in front of them. Nobody, even Zoro is no exception. The tingling still lingered in Sanji's waist. Let him never forget that when he met at the beginning, he was instantly killed by the opposite Layfon. All of this made Sanji remember deeply. Of course Sanji understands Zoro's strength, and it is precisely because he understands so well that he can be more certain in his heart. Zoro, absolutely no match for that freak on the other side. Then you can see it. Advertisement. I won't be hurt by this brat like you. Do you think that everyone is as weak as you? You deserve to be beaten so miserably for wasting time on women all day long. Zoro didn't take Sanji's face into consideration at all, a burst of cynicism. To this, Sanji wasn't angry, but he cursed back, you'll know if you try it yourself. Child, have you ever seen a child with a knife in his hand that has at least hundreds of lives? What the hell is this kid? What a monster. This is the first time in Sanji's life that he sees this kind of dissent. Luffy, Zoro, be careful. He is very strong. Chopper gritted his teeth, his tone extremely solemn and serious. Well, I feel it. Zoro nodded, although he mocked Sanji verbally. In fact, Zoro was not careless or slack. Of course he could feel it. In front of Layfon's body, exudes that looming majestic sense of oppression. This is by no means available to ordinary people. If you are really careless and slack, maybe you will die really ugly. He is really scary. Nami's beautiful eyes were full of palpitations and fear. Obviously, Layfon has caused her a serious psychological shadow, and her fear of Layfon has come from the bottom of her heart, and she feels trembling from the bottom of her heart. Zoro, leave the other two to you. Let me deal with him. Luffy twisted her arms a bit, her eyes fixed on Layfon. His eyes were full of angry flames. Be careful. Zoro nodded. Do not impulse. Sanji is about to stop. One-on-one. What a joke. Isn't this going to send people's heads? How is this different from going to die one by one? Sanji believes that only by going all out and dispatching all members can it be possible to truly defeat this guy in front of him. One-on-one, no one can shake this monster. Even Luffy is no exception. Can be helpless. Just as Sanji was about to stop, Luffy had already shot. Green algae head, don't just look at it. Hurry up. Luffy will never be able to shake that guy alone. Sanji was in a hurry. Don't worry too much. Zoro frowned tightly, holding a blade in his hand, and kept an eye on the movement of the battlefield. At the same time, Luffy kicked his feet. Boom. A resounding sound resounded from the deck under his feet. Moment. Luffy disappeared in place. The next moment, he was already standing in front of Layfon. A huge fist was aimed at Layfon's head. The one who hurt my partner. I'm going to blow him away. Luffy raised his fists, glared at Layfon, and slammed them down. Yes, pity. You seem to be unable to do it. Layfon stood there with a smile, unmoved, quietly looking at Luffy who was close at hand. Straw Hat Luffy. The big brother I have never met. Finally, I got my wish to see it. Although, meet in such an extreme way. But this does not prevent, Layfon feels a little emotional at the moment. The members of the Straw Hat Pirates seem to be almost all here. In this way, it can be solemnly announced. Layfon is alone, and the confrontation with the entire Straw Hat Pirates. With this, the curtain officially kicked off. Advertisement Chapter 73A Face-to-Face Meeting, Straw Hat Luffy in an instant. Open black lens bracket 7/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The game officially begins. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly, quietly looking at the Straw Hat Luffy who was close at hand. The latter pair of huge fists are getting closer and closer. It was aimed at Layfon's forehead and attacked fiercely. Rear. Kebi and Beru Meber exclaimed nervously, Mr. Layfon, be careful. At the same time, Zoro held knives in both hands, staring at Kebi and Beru Mebo with both eyes, always guarding against these two people for reinforcements. His task is mainly to prevent others from abruptly intervening in the battlefield when Luffy launches an attack, thereby seriously disturbing the battlefield that belongs to Luffy. Kebi and Belumbo, who were stared at by Zoro, were all stiff. They could only feel their bodies breaking out in cold sweat and goosebumps rising to every part of their bodies. Compared to Zoro, the strength of Kebi and Beru Meber can be said to be very fragile. Naturally, they can't shake the entire Straw Hat Pirates by themselves like Layfon. Damn it. Sanji bit his cigarette, staring at the movement of the battlefield with a worried face. How reckless. One-on-one. What a joke. Sanji doesn't think that in a one-on-one situation, someone can shake that guy in Marine. Don't be too nervous, Luffy won't be defeated so easily. As our captain, how can it be possible that you don't even have this bit of experience? Zoro saw Sanji's worry and couldn't help but speak. You have no idea how terrifying the opponent's strength is. Sanji shook his head bitterly and sighed. Only by personally experiencing the fight with the opponent can he understand it more deeply. How strong is this guy in front of him? Simply strong non-human, like a monster. A scary monster who is only 6 or 7 years old. Not to mention Luffy alone, even if two Luffys are added together, Sanji still feels that it is very difficult to shake this guy in front of him. Did you overestimate the guy on the opposite side and underestimate our strength? Zoro frowned. You do not understand. Sanji shook his head helplessly. If you haven't fought against the opponent, you can't understand the deep sense of powerlessness and the oppression of being fully dominated by the opponent's strength when facing that guy. But it's too late to say anything now. Luffy, already out. Very reckless. There is absolutely no strategy at all. It is to rush upwards directly, without any means or strategies. Putting this in the past, of course there is no problem with some ordinary Marines. But the difference is that the guy they were facing was completely different from the Marines they had encountered before. In terms of strength, there is a world of difference. Luffy, come on, beat him. Give this nasty guy a hard beating. Nami and Chopper clenched their fists tightly, as if they wanted to completely vent the fear in their hearts. The murderous spirit is filled in all directions. Around this small room, a fierce collision begins here. The battle of Layfon alone against the entire Straw Hat Pirates has begun. Facing Luffy's sudden attack, Layfon was calm and calm. Rubber. Machine gun. Luffy's fist stretched infinitely, and the fist speed was astonishing, as if forming countless afterimages, like bullets fired from a machine gun, covering Layfon's body at an extremely fast speed. Up close, the overwhelming fist spread Layfon into it. Very good speed, but it's a pity, still not fast enough. Layfon was calm, and easily dodged under Luffy's countless fist attacks. Big fists aimed aimlessly at Layma's body. Advertisement. Hit like a downpour. Whenever Luffy's fist is about to reach Layfon's body, Layfon will always dodge it at a critical moment in a narrow-minded manner. Therefore, under a sudden attack, Luffy didn't touch Layfon's clothes. Not to mention, it is nonsense to want to hurt Layfon. This guy. Luffy frowned and stared at Layfon angrily. He naturally noticed it. Layfon's strength is different from those Marines he encountered before. Immediately, Luffy's offensive changed and disappeared in front of Layfon in an instant. The moment of the next reappearance. Luffy is already standing behind Layfon. Rubber whip. His right foot extended and swept across the waist of Layfon's body with great speed. Pity. Layfon stepped on the moonwalk, stood in the air, and easily dodged the blow. Miss. Luffy's heart sank. This guy is very strong. No more slack and carelessness. The short burst of confrontation and collision between the two was presented in the eyes of everyone around. Nami and Chopper's throats were dry, and they were so nervous that they dared not speak. They stared at the movement of the battlefield without blinking. When they saw that Luffy did not have the upper hand, their hearts did not sink. Not so good. Luffy's strength seems to be unable to impress that guy. Kindness. Zoro also felt a little bit of pressure. Really. Sanji took a deep breath, threw away the cigarette in his mouth, got up to 12 points, stared at the trend of the battle, and was ready to intervene in the battlefield at any time. This guy is very strong. Luffy's offensive came to an abrupt end. He stood less than 5 meters in front of Layfon, looked at Layfon quietly, and made a weird posture, with his hands on his knees. Are you going to get serious? Seeing Luffy's action, Layfon smiled knowingly. It was just a warm-up. Layfon wasn't serious. Likewise, Luffy on the opposite side was not serious either. Second gear. Luffy clapped his hands together. Visible to the naked eye, his body gradually began to emit heat, and white mist curled up. The skin of the body also turned red, making it very eye-catching. Rubber. Luffy aimed his left hand at Layfon, his right clenched into a fist. Moment. He strikes again. Jet pistol. Boom. That moment. Luffy's fist turned into a bullet. Do not. The speed is countless times faster than bullets. Fist aimed at Layfon's stomach. Before it arrived, the piercing sound rang piercingly, lingering in Layfon's ears. Fist wind is coming. Compared with Luffy's blind attack just now, it is obvious that at this moment, Luffy's offensive method is really for Layfon to take a little seriously. It's long overdue. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. Near. Luffy's flushed fist has reached less than half a meter in front of him. Asking for flowers. Then. Advertisement. I see. Layfon gently raised his left hand, opened his palm, and watched the fist that was constantly enlarging from his eyes silently. Reach out and grab it. Got it. Iron body hyphenation point steel. Marine 6 styles push. A warm current gradually spread from Layfon's body to the left arm, and quickly gathered in the palm of the hand, producing a stream of energy gathered in the hand. Let Layfon get the defensive power in the palm of his hand, and it will skyrocket. A layer of strength seemed to form a membrane, wrapped around Layfon's palm, completely separating the flesh from the outside. This is the iron body of 6 forms. Next second. Boom. Luffy's fist exploded with terrifying force instantly, hitting Layfon's palm head-on. There was a loud bang. The terrifying air current swept across all directions swiftly and violently. Julie, from the palm of Layfon's left hand, quickly spread to the body. Click, click. The deck that Layfon stepped on continued to crumble and cracks spread farther and farther like spider webs. Nice punch. Layfon was smiling, his left hand had firmly grasped Luffy's fist. Zero. Have to admit, this punch still hurts a bit. However, within the acceptable range. The power of this punch made my hands a little numb. It's already pretty good, Layfon whispered to himself with a smile. Iron body of the 6 forms, enhanced the defense of his palms. Otherwise, even if Layfon wanted to catch this punch, it would not appear so easy. Blocked. Luffy's pupils shrank, and he stared at Layfon with horror on his face. He didn't expect it. This punch can be resolved so easily by the opponent. He used second gear. With the speed at full 10, a punch with almost all his strength will be blocked by the guy opposite in this way. This shocked Luffy. Now, it's my turn. Layfon grabbed Luffy's fist with his left hand and clasped it tightly like an iron chain. Pull your left arm a little harder. Luffy's body began to uncontrollably fly upside down in midair towards Layfon, being drawn closer and closer uncontrollably. Not good. Luffy's heart grew heavy. Feeling the huge force from his arm, his face became even more gloomy. Rubber. Luffy tried to fight back with one hand. Unexpectedly, at some point, Layfon had already stood in front of him. When Luffy froze, a huge fist magnified infinitely from his eyes. Boom. This punch hit Luffy hard on the forehead. The majestic and terrifying power exploded from Layfon's right fist, gathering the power of the iron body of the 6 styles, and all the energy emerged in the fist. In an instant, this power was released. Puff. Luffy immediately vomited blood, and his whole body was eroded by this huge force, and he flew backwards tens of meters away, and finally hit the edge of the wooden corner. Rumble. The wooden wall was directly shattered and collapsed by the impact, turning into countless sawdust debris. The broken wreckage fell down, and soon Luffy's body was submerged under the rubble. The smoke and dust billowed up, lingering around. The entire small room was then shaken violently and shaken for a long time. Advertisement Chapter 74. Let's all attack. Siege Layfon. Open black lens bracket 8/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Silence. The atmosphere suddenly became weird. There was a tremor and shaking in the small room. But everyone's expressions were dull. Nami and Chopper were stunned, their eyes widened and rounded, and the deep horror and shock could not be concealed in their pupils, and their bodies began to tremble uncontrollably. What's going on? Punch. Luffy was punched instantly. Just a face-to-face. The two fought against each other, but it was only a momentary matter. But who can explain to them? Luffy, why was Mao killed in seconds? The battle obviously hasn't started yet. It's over before it even started. It took less than a few minutes for the battle to break out. Luffy just got kicked out of the air. This strong visual contrast made both Nami and Chopper dumbfounded. A chill came from the soles of their feet to the sky, making their uncontrollable bodies tremble. Obediently, Usopp's eyes widened, and his feet suddenly showed signs of weakness. With a dry throat, he suppressed the fear and shock in his heart, and stared at the battlefield with dull eyes. This sudden change in the battlefield made him totally unexpected. It's as strong as Luffy, but it takes seconds to be met by 300. This makes Usopp's worldview almost collapse. He rubbed his eyes, seriously doubting whether he was hallucinating. When he opened his eyes again, he could still only see the mess and smoke billowing in the corner of the wall. Not hallucinations. Luffy really got punched in seconds. Grunt. Usopp's throat rolled and he swallowed, eyes full of color. Punch. Zoro's eyes were fixed, and the expression on his face was slightly stiff. He too was stunned. That young figure only punched back and forth. Then, Luffy was instantly killed. What kind of terrifying level of strength is this? He who has witnessed the changes in the battle situation with his own eyes can certainly feel it. There is a big gap between Luffy and that guy's strength. If it wasn't for the huge difference in strength, they wouldn't be instantly killed in a single encounter. This scene can be presented in front of his eyes. Everything is confirmed. Luffy, I was really caught off guard. Punch. It's just one punch back and forth. Furthermore, a fight broke out, and within 2 minutes, Luffy was knocked down. How can this make Zoro imagine? The war situation will continue to develop in this way. I've said it before. Unfortunately, you still don't listen to the advice. Sanji clenched his teeth, his expression full of heaviness. Of course he knows how strong the Layfon in front of him is. But helpless. It's fine if Luffy doesn't listen. This guy has always been very nervous and will not listen to people's opinions with an open mind. But Zoro, the green algae head, didn't listen to advice. This made Sanji completely helpless. Seeing Luffy being instantly killed, Sanji was shocked, but at least he was mentally prepared. Only by fighting Layfon in person can you understand how strong the opponent is. Sanji has a deep understanding of this point. So. Advertisement. He still has a dull pain in his lower back. Several ribs were broken, and his condition plummeted. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Stand behind Layfon. Both Kebi and Beru-Meber looked a little horrified. Spike. The confrontation between the two will end in a flash kill. Mr. Luffy, is it so weak? Kirby couldn't help thinking about it. But soon he shook his head and put this absurd thought aside. Luffy can't be weak, can only say, the person Luffy faced, because Layfon's strength, showing an absolutely overwhelming instant kill Luffy. Straw Hat Pirates. That's it. Layfon withdrew his fist, glanced at Luffy who was flying upside down in the corner without moving, then turned to look in the direction of Zoro and Sanji, with a weird smile. Stupid big brother, your strength is too weak. How did this strength defeat 7 warlords of the sea? This is really puzzling. Even the current Layfon does not think that the strength can reach the Shichibukai class. However, Layfon easily beat Luffy. So here comes the problem. Luffy, how did you defeat the 7 warlords of the sea? This is a very profound question. In a short period of time, Layfon couldn't figure out which aspect of Luffy is stronger, so that he can defeat these powerful enemies smoothly all the way. Among them is a powerful enemy that even Layfon cannot shake. But in Luffy's hands, it was as if he had been anesthetized, and was cleaned up by Luffy. If you only have this strength, I think it's best to arrest all of you and throw them into Impel Down to reform them. Layfon thought to himself. Looked up. Layfon looked at Zoro and Sanji. Okay, now, it's your turn. I'll give you a chance to gather together to deal with me, but unfortunately, you are useless. You actually tried to deal with me alone. I have to say that you made a bad move. Opportunities like this are gone now. You guys have lost a great opportunity to deal with me. The words fell. Sanji's spirit was tense, and his expression was reserved and apprehensive. Zoro is holding a blade, the 2 blades are sharp and flashing with cold light. Neither of them dared to relax. They cheered up. Seeing Luffy being killed, Zoro no longer dared to underestimate the powerful enemy in front of him. Stronger than Luffy, turned on the second gear, but was still caught in seconds. This is really beyond Zoro's expectation. Quote. Nami, Chopper cried in the direction where Luffy fell. Not good. The situation is getting worse. Sweat broke out on Usopp's forehead. His back was already wet with cold sweat. A strong enemy is currently difficult to deal with. Even Luffy was seconded. This makes Usopp completely unable to think of any other way to resolve the current desperate situation. Zoro, Sanji, it's up to you. You must hold on. Nami looked at Zoro and Sanji, with the last glimmer of hope remaining in her beautiful eyes. If even Zoro and Sanji are defeated, then their Straw Hat Pirates will completely usher in the day of extinction today. Look for an opportunity to break the deadlock. Usopp slowly took out the slingshot, fixed his eyes on Layfon with a nervous and apprehensive face, aimed the slingshot at Layfon, and was always ready for a sneak attack. Must go all out, all at the same time. It is possible to shake this monster. Zoro, I'm here to help you. Chopper dragged his heavy body, walked forward step by step with his injuries, stood side by side with Zoro and Sanji, and stared at Layfon in front of him vigilantly. Advertisement. It is worried, and it will not make a full shot. All of them will be defeated one by one. Thus, the consequences are quite serious. All of them will be destroyed today. The worst result is, all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates were captured by Marine and thrown directly into the big prison, thus completely losing their freedom. This kind of result is simply worse than death. Chopper, are you okay? Don't force yourself. Zoro frowned. Chopper's injuries are already obvious. If he continues to fight, his injuries will only get worse. I can still hold on. Chopper looked stubborn. Don't be slack and careless, and don't underestimate the enemy because of his age. He is very strong, beyond imagination. I have an illusion that until now, he has not tried his best. Sanji's language is not astonishing and endless. What? Zoro's pupils shrank, suppressing the throbbing in his heart. If that's the case, then it's really troublesome. Careful, must be treated with caution. Zoro took a deep breath and stared at Layfon. He noticed something even more terrifying. That is, the guy in front of me, from the beginning to the end, seems to have never used a knife. Since the opponent is carrying a samurai sword, it is not just used as an ornament. The opponent is very likely to be a swordsman. A swordsman with a very high level of swordsmanship. What does that mean? A swordsman with such a high level of swordsmanship has never even used swordsmanship, so he easily punched Luffy in seconds. Once the opponent uses swordsmanship, what will happen? Zoro felt the pressure, and a layer of sweat formed on his forehead. Sword hero. I don't know, how does the sword skill compare with mine? Zoro thought vaguely in his heart. Tension. The battle is about to start. The Straw Hat Pirates dispatched Zoro, Sanji 0.1, Chopper, and Usopp to look for sneak attack opportunities in the dark. And across from them, from beginning to end, only one person. That's it, Layfon with a samurai sword. It is only now that I understand that it is not too late to join forces to deal with me. Layfon smiled. But, if the Straw Hat Pirates could have understood this at the beginning, they wouldn't have let Luffy rush up to give away the head alone. This is just great. Luffy was seconded. The Straw Hat Pirates have lost a major force. Superior. Zoro drank lightly. He launched the attack first. Three swords flow, full bloom. Moment. Zoro disappeared in place and appeared beside Layfon. Three sharp blades, with a cold light everywhere, attacked Layfon in an all-round way. Shoot. Sanji and Chopper were dispatched one after another. The three move at the same time. Finally, this game has become a little more interesting. Facing the siege of the three, Layfon still appeared unhurried and indifferent, with no big ups and downs in the expression on his face, calm as always. Like a pool of stagnant water. No waves. Calm and stressful. Advertisement Chapter 75 Zoro. That's not how swordsmanship is used. Open black lens bracket 9/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Cut. Zoro stood beside Layfon, with three blades aiming at Layfon's weak areas in all directions from every dead angle, carrying out a blockade range attack. The sharp blade chopped off. It was as if even the air had been torn apart abruptly. The piercing sound rang in Layfon's ear. Famous knife. What attracted Layfon's attention was not Zoro's sword skills and attacks, but the three blades Zoro carried on his body. One of them can be ranked among the 21 workers of the big fast knife. And the other two are unusual. One is a good sharp knife. The other one is in the ranks of good and fast knives, the demon knife. It's really a waste for a person to carry three expensive and famous knives. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. If I defeated Zoro, and then easily took away the blade weapon in the opponent's hand, wouldn't that be too much? Defeat the enemy and treat the opponent's items as your own spoils. Isn't this a very reasonable thing? Layfon thought strangely. Certainly, he is not so low. One person alone against the three of us, still dare to be distracted. Zoro felt deeply insulted. He sensed it. Layfon's attention was not on him. Instead, Zoro had the illusion that Layfon in front of him seemed to be looking at the saber in his hand. Could it be my swordsmanship? Isn't it better to attract your attention more than the blade in my hand? Zoro's face flushed, and his heart was burning with anger. Shame. What a shame. As a swordsman, his own swordsmanship was underestimated. There is nothing more shameful than this. Zoro was furious. Damn guy, do you underestimate me? Then I want to see how good your sword skills are. Zoro's eyes became more and more cold, with murderous intentions rising and falling. He pulled himself together, and the blade in his hand slashed at Layfon's head with furious force. At the same time, Sanji and Chopper have also appeared beside Layfon. A split second. Layfon needs to block a three-man attack. Zoro's three sharp blades blocked the space where Layfon was hiding. And Sanji's right foot has already aimed hard at Layfon's head. The muscles of Chopper's arms bulged, and the strengthening of his wrists made his arms full of explosive power, and his fists slammed into Layfon's chest. Face the three-way siege. The situation of Layfon seems to be very serious. Shave. Instantly, Layfon disappeared. Yes, it seems to have disappeared out of thin air, without any signs. Not even an afterimage was left behind. Thereby, Zoro's blade sliced through. Sanji's kick also missed, and Inba double hit the air. So easily, can we resolve our joint attack? Zoro's complexion changed slightly, and his mood became more and more heavy. I thought it sealed off the opponent's dodging space. Unexpectedly, the opponent actually has such a weird way of dodging. Zoro, behind you. Suddenly there was a loud scream, buzzing from Zoro's ear. What? Zoro's complexion changed drastically, and he suddenly turned to look backward. Advertisement. Really? He saw it. I don't know when it will start. Layfon, already armed with a katana, stood behind himself. And, Layfon had already raised the sharp blade in his hand, and the blade exuded a faint smell of blood, but strangely, the blade was not stained with any blood color. Even so, Zoro still felt the oppression coming to his face. Danger. Extremely dangerous. Zoro only felt that the hairs all over his body stood on end, his scalp was numb, and his hair stood on end. It was the first time in his life that he experienced this feeling. Zoro, be careful. Chopper let out a cry. Green algae head. Sanji's eyes popped out, staring at Zoro's direction. I see. Layfon is out. Swordsmanship. Let me see how high your sword skills are. Zoro, who was underestimated before, never forgot the humiliation just now. As a swordsman, his swordsmanship was ignored, but the blade in his hand was more eye-catching. This undoubtedly dealt a heavy blow to Zoro's confidence in his sword skills. Emotion. Shouldn't one's own sword skills be more valued than the blade in one's hand? Mito stream. Zoro got serious. He stared at Layfon more seriously than ever, and was ready for the three swordsmen to go out together. However, the next moment, just before Zoro was about to strike, Layfon disappeared again. No sign. Shave. When it reappeared, Layfon stood beside Zoro's right hand. Like, teleport, disappeared out of thin air and reappeared out of thin air. Zoro couldn't react at all, his whole body was in a state of stiffness, and his body was full of horror. His offensive movement was abruptly interrupted. When Zoro twisted his stiff neck and turned his head in horror. We'll be able to see. Layfon, who was smiling, was already standing beside him. The samurai sword in Layfon's hand shone coldly, getting closer. Not good. Sanji at the side sensed something was wrong, and immediately kicked Layfon beside Zoro. Zoro, wake up. Chopper saw Zoro's sluggish and stiff state, and hurriedly opened his mouth to remind him loudly. What's wrong? Zoro suddenly came to his senses, his eyes lost their focus for a while. He just felt it. There are loopholes everywhere, as if the reader has been seen through by Layfon in front of him. In particular, his own swordsmanship and sword moves, all of which cannot be hidden in Layfon's eyes. Sanji kicked, and Layfon turned sideways lightly, dodging easily. The blade in his hand slashed at Zoro without hesitation. Coming. Zoro raised the blade in his hand to block it. Boom. The collision of the blade and the blade flashed a dazzling fire. The majestic airflow, with the collision of the two as the center point, spreads rapidly in all directions. With great force, the blade passes through both arms. Zoro only felt some signs of numbness in his arms. The huge force spread from both arms to the whole body, making Zoro's body heavier and heavier. Click, click, advertisement. The deck he was stepping on was crushed and cracked by the force from his body. This monster. Cold sweat broke out on Zoro's forehead, and his arms were a little numb from the huge shock. Cannot imagine. A child of 6 or 7 years old can explode with such terrifying power that it is almost impossible to stop him. Unfortunately, if there was no outsider interference just now. You're half crippled if you're not dead. Layfon looked at Zoro with a heavy face, and chuckled lightly. The words fell. Zoro gritted his teeth, his face full of fear and anger. He didn't refute. Just now, it was really dangerous. Without Sanji's shot, delaying the opponent for a little time in time, coupled with Chopper's interference, Zoro really couldn't respond in a short time. D. Zoro gritted his teeth, looking wary. He couldn't make any rebuttals. Because what Layfon says is what will happen. In retrospect so far, Zoro can't cool down the strong sense of crisis just now. Shoulder tenderloin. Sanji's attack came quickly. Layfon kicked his feet, and soon took the initiative to retreat not far away, and opened a distance of about 3 meters from Zoro. Dodged Sanji's attack. Chopper's attack has also arrived beside him. Antler enhancement. Chopper's antlers became extremely huge, and he sprinted towards 110 Feng's waist. Boom. Layfon gently swept the samurai sword in front of him, blocking the attack of Chopper's antlers. Easy. No stress whatsoever. Come again. Gritting his teeth, Zoro rushed forward angrily, taking the initiative to attack. He doesn't believe it. His swordsmanship is even worse than that of a child. He has honed his sword skills for so many years, how could he not be able to defeat even a 6 or 7-year-old child? Impossible. Zoro would never accept such an unthinkable thing anyway. This is so overwhelming. He has worked hard for 10 years. He honed his swordsmanship day after day, and worked hard all the time. With such hard work, how could he tolerate that his swordsmanship could not defeat a 6 or 7-year-old child? Intolerable. Could it be? Hard work outweighs talent. Do not. Impossible. Zoro disagrees with this view. 3 swords technique. Zoro drank loudly. Gyuki. His body seemed to have turned into a cow, and his 2 knives turned into horns, rushing forward swiftly. Moment. The sharp sword energy is entwined on the blade, and the violent power fills the tip of the blade. Like a crazy bull that lost its mind, it rushed towards Layfon's position with terrifying and swift speed and destructive power. Whoosh. Zoro arrives in front of Layfon. Show your sharpness. The monstrous sword energy swept over Layfon's body overwhelmingly. Looking at the menacing Zoro, Layfon clearly captured Zoro's attack trajectory and some subtle holes in the blade in his hand. Zoro, I have to say, your sword skills. Simply, it's full of loopholes. Swordsmanship, that's not how you use it. Layfon laughed, and slowly raised the sharp katana in his hand. Today, let me teach you a good lesson. Advertisement Chapter 76 Being taught swordsmanship by a 7-year-old child. Mentality collapsed. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Sharp. The sharp edge was instantly released from Layfon's body, like a bright sun, the majestic edge belonging to the swordsman directly swept in all directions. The small room was enveloped by this monstrous sharpness. Compared with Zoro, it is more majestic and majestic. Compared with the sword energy released by Layfon, Zoro's sword energy is like a drop in the ocean, so small and insignificant. Feeling the terrifying edge and sword energy, Zoro's movements seemed to pause abruptly, and his pupils were filled with horror. Did you feel it? Swordsmanship should be used like this. Layfon looked at the slightly stiff Zoro with a smile. The terrifying edge aimed at Zoro, rushing towards Zoro, like a surging tide, almost wanting to completely soak Zoro's body in it. Good. Very strong sword energy. Zoro opened his mouth, his face full of shock. His attack has reached Layfon's body. Can't take it back. That moment, Zoro seemed to see it. The most brilliant glare in the world is blooming from the samurai sword in Layfon's hand. Beautiful, coquettish and colorful, very eye-catching. Zoro's vision was completely attracted, and he could no longer look away. This is, what terrible swordsmanship. Zoro suddenly felt the unreachable distance in his heart. There is also an irreparable gap between swordsmanship and swordsmanship. Just like, his sword skills are the same as Layfon's sword skills. Well done. Watching Zoro's attack, Layfon chuckled lightly, holding a samurai sword, and swung it down slowly. There are not too many bells and whistles, only the simplest and purest knife. The sharp blade shone coldly, exuding a faint smell of blood. Slid down with a knife. The air is about to be torn apart. There was an ear-piercing sound of piercing the air, vibrating and buzzing in Zoro's ears. Can't stop. Zoro was horrified to realize this terrible fact. He can't stop this knife. All his attacks and tricks seemed extremely small and fragile in front of this knife. The power is broken. Zoro's confidence was also shattered. How to describe this knife? Zoro's eyes were in a trance. There is no unnecessary movement, it is so simple that it can't be a simple knife. However, it brought me an endless sense of oppression, so that I couldn't even think of stopping it in my heart. As the strongest swordsmanship, the simplest swordsmanship. From a child who was only 6 or 7 years old, I felt such a terrifying swordsmanship. As this knife a lesson for me. I was taught swordsmanship by a 7-year-old child. Zoro's worldview collapsed. In front of this knife, all his self-confidence vanished. He couldn't even dream of it. Someday, he actually saw such superb swordsmanship from a child. It's incredible. So far, Zoro's mood is still not calm. How old is this guy? How can a child of 6 or 7 years old master such a terrifying level of swordsmanship? Long couldn't figure it out. Even if he thought about it, he couldn't think of a reason, let alone a reason that could reasonably explain this strange event. Near. Blade. Getting closer. I got it. Zoro looked defeated. Advertisement. Before the fight, he knew that he had lost. Lost in a mess. Flat out. In terms of swordsmanship, he was almost completely suppressed by the Layfon in front of him. Crush. This is the first time Zoro has felt such a heavy sense of frustration. Even if he was defeated by Hawkeye back then, Zoro felt from the bottom of his heart that he couldn't chase, let alone surpass it like today. Losing to Hawkeye, Zoro can still comfort himself with the reason that he didn't have enough training. But, what excuse could he find for losing to Layfon in front of him? No excuse. This is a 6 or 7-year-old kid. For a 6 or 7-year-old child, his swordsmanship is enough to crush himself. What kind of excuse can comfort Zoro at this moment? Absolutely not. At the age of 6 or 7, he possessed such terrifying sword skills. What a terrifying talent this is. The Kuina back then, if you compare it with this guy in front of you, there is no comparison. The gap is really too big. Many thoughts lingered in Zoro's mind. Then, Zoro was completely enveloped by the slash released by Layfon's knife. Boom. Zoro's 3-knife technique was defeated in an instant. The 3-knife technique he erupted, the blooming power, was smashed by the slash released by Layfon with just one collision. No resistance. The gap is too big. Power. Every inch cracks. This knife from Layfon is full of brilliance. Puff. This knife slashed Zoro's chest from the front, and blood splashed out in an instant. Blood stains the sky. The bright red bloodline overflowed from Zoro's body and scattered in all directions. Does this lose the fighting spirit? It's too fragile. Sensing Zoro's change of mind, Layfon shook his head. This is such a disappointment. Confidence crushed so easily. That's it. Want to become the world's #1 swordsman. That's really ridiculous. Slightly retracting the katana in his hand, Layfon did not intend to continue to hit Zoro severely, but instead swept across Zoro's waist with his kick. Boom. There was a loud bang. The terrifying power instantly deformed Zoro's waist by kicking it. The entire waist bone is about to break, stinging, making Zoro's expression painful. At the same time, Zoro's entire body was impacted by a huge force, and the huge force instantly spread from his waist to his body, knocking his body into the air tens of meters away. Rumble. Finally, Zoro hit the wooden wall, and there was a deafening sound that lingered. Smoke and dust billowed and curled up. Spike. Yes. A face-to-face meeting, Zoro was given a second as always. And, still with pure swordsmanship, Zoro was instantly killed with swordsmanship from the front, without too many fancy moves, only simple to ultimate swordsmanship. The atmosphere has become weird again. Silence. On the spot, silently. Sanji and Chopper both had dry throats and opened their mouths, looking at the development of the battle with a shocked face. Their lips moved slightly, but they were speechless for a while. They wanted to help Zoro. But they didn't expect it. Advertisement. Winning or losing happens in just an instant. Zoro, totally abused, be killed in seconds. How could they imagine this result? It's too tragic. As strong as Zoro, he was instantly killed by a child who was only 6 or 7 years old from the field of swordsmanship. What a setback. Grunt. Usopp's throat rolled, he swallowed, his hands holding the slingshot trembled uncontrollably, and his face became horrified and horrified. Zoro. It was also seconds. Of course Usopp couldn't imagine this scene. It doesn't matter if Luffy is seconded. Now even Zoro was instantly killed by a face-to-face. He could no longer imagine. What kind of terrifying monster is the enemy they encountered this time? Relying on his own strength, he almost overturned the rhythm of their entire pirate group. From the realm of swordsmanship. Kill Zoro. Nami shivered. It was the first time she saw Zoro lose so badly in swordsmanship. The scariest thing is that the opponent is a child who was only 6 or 7 years old. Yes, a 6 or 7-year-old child completely crushed Zoro in the field of swordsmanship. What a shitty thing this is. Sean, Sanji, Chopper looked at Sanji beside him in a panic. How to do? What should I do now? Zoro is all seconded. How should they deal with the powerful enemy in front of them? Calm down, you must be calm. Sanji forced his mind to calm down. But even so, he still couldn't think of any way to save their current Straw Hat pirates. Luffy was killed in seconds. Zoro was also instantly killed. The two main combat forces were defeated one after another. What does this make them do? From the perspective of swordsmanship, I have been completely crushed. Compared to physical pain and trauma, I think that what this guy Chrysanthemum feels more sad about is the trauma of his heart. Zhao Nuo how. Sanji could have predicted it. When a person is completely surpassed and crushed by a person who is at least 2 or 3 times younger than himself in the field he is most proud of, how painful is this feeling? Not to mention, Zoro has been working hard to hone his swordsmanship for 10 years. But never thought about it. Zoro's more than 10 years of training and hard work are far inferior to the ability of others for several years. Compare it like this. The taste of this pain is quite obvious. The swordsmanship that has been pursued for more than 10 years. Never thought. Being surpassed by one person in less than a few years. This feeling, anyone can imagine. When you can't catch up with other people's footsteps even if you try hard, this feeling will definitely be very desperate, and even make people lose their sense of direction in life. And this is what happened to Zoro right now. No doubt. Whether it is Sanji, or Chopper, Nami, they can predict very accurately. This swordsmanship duel ended with the result of instant kill, which inevitably caused a huge trauma to Zoro's mind. And, it is very likely that Zoro's mentality will collapse. Killed instantly by a child of 6 or 7 years old with an absolutely crushing posture in the field of swordsmanship. Zoro's mentality will face collapse, which is completely in line with common sense. Advertisement Chapter 77 One person easily suppressed the entire Straw Hat Pirates. Open black lens bracket please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The atmosphere is weird. After Zoro was killed in seconds. The atmosphere in this small room has become extraordinarily depressing. No one dared to speak out to break the strange tranquility of this moment. As the calm of the coming storm. It's over, it's over. This is the end of the calf. Nami's face paled, and her pretty face was full of panic. She panicked completely. Luffy was taken for a second, and half of her inner confidence was missing. Now, even Zoro has been killed in seconds. This made her completely desperate. The hope and confidence that had just been regained, fell to the bottom of the valley again as Luffy and Zoro were killed one after another, and fell into despair. The mood shifted so fast. But also helpless. Who could have predicted? The changes in the battle situation can actually change so quickly. Luffy and Zoro had just stepped into the battlefield for less than 3 minutes. The two of them were together, and within 3 minutes, they were killed by the monster on the opposite side. How can Nami imagine this? Except for Nami, Chopper, and Usopp, they can't even imagine it. The top main fighting member of the Straw Hat Pirates, unexpectedly failed to touch the opponent's Yui Kakuzu, and was instantly killed on the spot. With the development of the war situation up to now, Nami has completely lost all hope in his heart. Hope is gone, turned, deeply desperate, in Nami's heart. Luffy was instantly killed, and Zoro was also instantly killed. Who else can stop this terrible guy? Nami's eyes were full of desperation, and he was lost. She couldn't think of any other way for them to escape this catastrophe. This scene is matched with the huge catastrophe of their entire Straw Hat Pirates. Calm down, I want to think calmly. Usopp forced himself to calm down, thinking frantically. But alas, in any case, even if he thought about it, he couldn't think of how to resolve the current predicament. Do not. This should be called desperate situation. The desperate situation of the entire Straw Hat Pirates. Zoro. Chopper suppressed the panic in his heart, gritted his teeth, and looked at the direction where Zoro was flying upside down. His eyes were full of worry, and he couldn't help shouting. The harsh voice broke the strange tooth circumference at this moment. It's just me again. Sanji felt powerless. Reinforce. Is this really a reinforcement? The two main combatants were all caught up in a single face-to-face. This is not as good as me. Sanji couldn't help complaining in his heart. Emotion. This is not reinforcements, but two burdens. It's just a burden to come here to give away the head. Pressure. The sense of oppression enveloped Sanji's heart and firmly oppressed his shoulders, making his body extremely stiff and dull. Desperate. Of course Sanji knew. Today's game is a desperate situation for their entire Straw Hat Pirates. If the desperate situation cannot be resolved, their Straw Hat Pirates will be completely destroyed today. And now, Sanji felt it. It seems that the end of their Straw Hat Pirates is not far away. How to break the game? Sanji's head was in a mess, and he tried every means to break the current situation. After much deliberation, Sanji found out in despair. Nothing can be done. Advertisement. Yes, now the Straw Hat Pirates are truly facing a desperate situation. And this is the desperate situation brought to their entire pirate group by one person. The only option is to fight to the death. If you don't fight, you will lose. With a desperate fight, there may be a chance of survival. Sanji's heart became ruthless, and his complexion became heavy. He was already ready to fight Layfon to the death. Chopper. Sanji turned to look at Chopper beside him, with an unprecedented solemnity and seriousness. Later, take as many as you can. Sanji, you. Chopper was startled. Don't ask too much, there is no time to explain. Sanji's tone was low. Escape as many as you can. Otherwise, they will really be wiped out here. Obviously. Sanji is already ready, risking his life to buy time for his partner. In any case, Sanji felt that he had to delay the guy in front of him in exchange for a chance for Chopper to escape with his friends. Sanji, I'm not leaving. Chopper shook his head with a stubborn look on his face. Don't you understand the situation yet? If you don't leave, none of us will be able to leave. Sanji was in a hurry. A gloomy shadow affects all members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Rumble. At this time, there was a movement from the corner of the wall. It's Zoro. I see. Zoro propped up his painful body with both hands, resisting the stinging pain from his body, and stared at the direction of Layfon with bloodshot eyes. He stood up. Ahem. Zoro spat out blood, his face became a little pale and bloodless, and he looked very weak, as if a gust of wind could blow his body down. Just as Sanji, Chopper and the others thought. This moment. Zoro's mentality was indeed on the verge of collapse. I was blown away by a 6 or 7-year-old kid. My swordsmanship was completely crushed by a child. I have worked hard to hone my sword skills for more than 10 years. It's not as good as the sword skills accumulated by others over the years. Effort, is it really meaningless? Zoro's eyes were lost, and he lost his mind for a while. Countless messy thoughts hit his forehead, making his head buzzing, his thinking became chaotic, and he even lost his thinking ability for a short time. The first time, Zoro felt that his efforts seemed meaningless. Seeing Layfon's terrifying swordplay, Zoro felt it. My own efforts seem worthless, Bedge. Zoro. Chopper walked to Zoro's side anxiously, observing Zoro's body. The injuries are serious, but not life-threatening. This is also what surprised Chopper. BBJ clearly can split Zoro's chest. But why? Zoro's chest injury doesn't seem to be as serious as imagined. Why? Chopper couldn't figure it out for a while. That knife can clearly injure Zoro. Even, kill Zoro on the spot. But the other party seems to have kept his hand. Are you going to capture us alive? Chopper's mood grew heavier. Can it still work? Sanji looked at Zoro. I can't die. Advertisement. Zoro replied with a pale face. He couldn't die, but his combat strength was weakened by more than half. Coupled with the trauma of the soul, Zoro's swordsmanship must not be restored in a short time. Trouble. Looking at Zoro's expression, Sanji thought to himself. I said you guys, did you ignore me? Standing in the center, Layfon swept all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates with a smile, and spoke slowly. Anyway, I am the chief culprit who dominates your entire Straw Hat Pirates, and I was ignored directly. It seems that you still don't have a long memory. Layfon's eyes twinkled. Immediately, he took steps, step by step, towards Sanji's direction. Coming. Sanji's pupils shrank and his face changed drastically. The pressure on his face swept across his body. Layfon didn't launch an attack, but just approaching with his steps made Sanji feel boundless oppression, squeezing every cell in his body. Sanji, be careful. Chopper quickly aligned himself with Sanji. The two stared at Layfon closely, not daring to be careless. Kill the flame star. A voice suddenly sounded. Then, a black object that resembled a concentrated cannonball rushed towards Layfon's head. Usopp. Chopper's eyes lit up. Can you hit it? Sanji's face was still very heavy. Next. Everyone can see it. Shrinking shells. Never hit Layfon before. The knife flashes. Call out. As if even the air was cut off. The black condensed cannonball was cut off directly, turned into 2 pieces and fell to the ground, failing on the spot. Hateful. Usopp gritted his teeth, his face full of restraint and apprehension. The sneak attack was declared a failure. What other means? Isn't it only to this extent? If this is the only level, then you can obediently put on handcuffs and surrender. Layfon kept smiling. Standing here alone is enough to give the entire Straw Hat Pirates endless oppression. Whether it is Sanji, or Zoro who is seriously injured, or Chopper, Nami, they dare not make any rash moves. One person, suppress the whole audience. Layfon alone is enough to sweep the entire Straw Hat Pirates. It doesn't seem so difficult to subvert a pirate group. Even the Straw Hat Pirates are no exception. Better than I expected. It's so much easier. There was something intriguing about Layfon's face. Rear, Kebi and Beru Meber became the audience. They have been watching blankly, and Layfon swept the audience by himself. The strong visual impact subverted their cognition. Really did it. One person, suppress a pirate group. And, the ones who were suppressed were the Straw Hat Pirates. Kebi's throat was dry, and his mood was full of shock. Turn. He looked at Layfon's back with admiration and admiration. Too strong. The point is, Mr. Layfon. Only 7 years old. At only 7 years old, he easily suppressed the entire Straw Hat Pirates. Such a shocking move, even if you look at the sea, who can follow? Advertisement Chapter 78 Despair. The Straw Hat Pirates are desperate. Open black lens bracket please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Rumble. Another burst of sound spread from the edge of the corner of the wall. It's Luffy. I see. Luffy finally woke up. His eyes were full of anger, and he stared at Layfon tightly. On his forehead, as well as on his body, the entire area was stained with a lot of blood and scars. This fist of Layfon hit him hard on the head and made him a little dizzy. To date, his mind was still a little confused, and his state could not maintain its heyday. Hateful. Has Zoro been seconded too? Gritting her teeth, Luffy looked at Layfon with a heavy face. Of course he saw that Zoro was seriously injured. Sanji got hurt too. Chopper is also in hand. At present, there are still no major injuries, only Usopp and Nami, but the frontal combat effectiveness of the two of them is almost negligible. In the face of such a powerful enemy, letting Usopp and Nami rush forward will only increase the burden, and cannot form any substantive meaning. Luffy, are you okay? Chopper looked worried. Zoro, Sanji, let's go together. Luffy took a deep breath and clearly understood the current situation. He no longer rushed forward rashly alone. He understands. One-on-one, it is absolutely impossible to be the opponent of this guy in front of him. Only in the case of joining forces, can it be possible to shake and defeat the opponent. It is good. Zoro and Sanji nodded with serious faces. Although, the odds are extremely low. However, they still have no hesitation. Call. After exhaling heavily, Zoro completely suppressed the many frustrations in his heart, and his pupils were full of unwillingness to help Layfon. Superior. Moment. The three of them moved out together. Including Chopper, has also bitten off a rumble ball. Strengthen your wrist. Chopper's muscular arms bulged, and he was a burly figure. He rushed forward and smashed his arms hard at Layfon. By contrast, Layfon's young figure appeared small and insignificant in front of Chopper. But such a small figure gave Chopper and all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates an endless sense of oppression, bringing them deep despair. We must win. Nami clenched her fists, her face was pale, and she felt anxious. The last hope. If the three join forces, they will not be able to shake each other. Then today will be the day of their entire Straw Hat Pirates' demise. Winning or losing is now. Whether they can escape this catastrophe depends on whether Luffy and the three of them can defeat that monster. Usopp also brought up the nervousness. Must win. Otherwise, they are really going to be over. The last time the entire pirate group felt so hopeless was when they were dominated by Admiral of Headquarters Aokiji alone. Never thought about it. Despair, it will come again so soon. Under the gaze, the battle broke out again. 4 people joined forces. Just in time, Layfon let out a laugh. Holding a samurai sword, he turned sideways to avoid Chopper's attack. Boom. Chopper slammed down with both fists so hard that the entire deck was cracked and dirty. There were violent shaking and turbulence from the deck on which the feet were stepping. At the same time, Luffy, already in second gear, appeared beside Layfon. Rubber. Jet pistol. Moment. A huge fist was aimed at Layfon's chest. Did not wait for Layfon to react. Left and right sides. 9 swords technique. Devil wind. Zoro and Sanji appeared one after another. Surrounded by 3 sides, Layfon, with no escape, was held in the center by the trio. Is everything here? Let's get started. Layfon's eyes flickered, his expression was full of excitement and anticipation. Slowly, he raised the samurai sword in his hand. Sharp blade, flashing cold light. The faint smell of blood is released by the blade. Advertisement. A purple sword light was born from the blade and wrapped around the blade, adding a strange look to the samurai sword and making it even more bewitching. The terrifying breath bloomed from Layfon's body, sweeping the audience. Moonwalk. Layfon, who stepped on the moonwalk, quickly lifted his body into the air. Foot on air. Walk in the air. Sanji and Zoro shrank their pupils, their faces full of horror. What's the situation? What kind of trick is this? Shave. Next second, Layfon's body disappeared directly in place. From the high altitude, achieved the terrifying effect of disappearing out of thin air. Disappeared. The 3 of Luffy's expressions tightened, their hair standing on end. Impossible to disappear out of thin air. It's just a phenomenon of speed. It is impossible for anyone to disappear out of thin air. Unless, he is a capable person. Sanji calmed down and drank seriously. It is impossible for anyone to disappear out of thin air. That's right. Zoro nodded, his expression became more serious. Not good. He suddenly had a very ominous premonition. Chopper, behind you. Luffy suddenly cried out anxiously. Behind me. Chopper was taken aback. Then, its body became stiff, and it stared blankly at its feet. The sun shines in from the rear window, imprinting its figure slightly tilted. And I don't know when, beside its reflection, a human figure holding a blade appeared. Cold, biting coldness swept through my heart. Chopper was trembling uncontrollably, his eyes filled with horror and horror. Can't move. It actually discovered that its body was out of control. Twisting his stiff neck, Chopper looked back tremblingly. Really, a young figure with a samurai sword was already standing behind him. Teleportation. Damn it. Gritting her teeth, Luffy tried to free Chopper with all her might. However, too late. Layfon has made his move. No one could see his movements clearly, and no one could capture the trajectory of his shots. Quick, almost to ultimate. With one kick, it aimed at Chopper's chest. The terrifying distance erupts from this foot. Boom. One hit. Chopper only felt that his entire chest was about to explode. The heart-piercing pain made him groan, and his body fell backward uncontrollably. Julie, from Chopper's body, spreads all over the body. Rumble. Chopper's body flew more than 10 meters backwards and hit the wooden wall. The terrifying impact force shattered the wall surface was shattered, and cracks opened in all directions, turning into countless sawdust and wreckage that fell down one after another. In a blink of an eye, Chopper's body was completely buried by scattered sawdust debris, and there was no more movement. Chopper. Luffy cried out. Don't panic, it will be your turn soon. Layfon retracted his right foot and looked at Luffy with a smile. Luffy gritted his teeth, attacking with anger on his face. Superior. Zoro and Sanji followed closely behind, their eyes full of angry flames. The three joined forces to launch an attack. Pity. Although their offensive was swift and fierce, they were still unable to shake the momentum. Layfon's abilities are too comprehensive. Strength, speed, dodge, fencing. In almost all aspects, the level is very high. And this is exactly what makes Luffy and the others desperate. This guy always feels stronger and stronger, is it my illusion? Asking for flowers. Luffy clenched his fists. More precisely, advertisement. Now he is truly serious. Zoro's tone was heavy. Come again. Sanji took the lead in attacking. The three of them worked together to launch a strong siege against Layfon again. Usopp, on the other hand, stood outside the battlefield and couldn't find a chance to make a move. The frequency of battles is too high. He can't aim at all, worrying about accidentally injuring his teammates. We must win. Usopp screamed inwardly. Come on. Nami gritted his teeth. The battlefield is very intense. Rao has some injuries due to Layfon's strength. Of course, these injuries will not affect Layfon's strength, and there is no sign of decline in his state. On the contrary, the more you fight, the more courageous you are. On the other hand, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji on the opposite side have become particularly embarrassing. 1 against 3, but Layfon still cannot fall behind. This level of strength can be described as quite terrifying. Shave. The moment when Layfon disappeared again. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji immediately back to back, staring around vigilantly. Only in this way can they do their best to prevent Layfon from suddenly attacking their weak areas. 0. BB. A bright and gorgeous slash was born out of thin air. The majestic and violent power rushed in all directions. This slash was aimed at the direction of Luffy and the three of them. Get out of the way. Zoro drank loudly. The three dodged immediately. At the same time, Layfon's figure appeared. Holding a katana, he stood beside Zoro, smiling all over his face. Not good. Zoro's expression changed. Pity. Too late to react. The katana in Layfon's hand swung down slowly. Damn it. Zoro swung the three swords, trying to block. Unexpectedly, Layfon changed the offensive trajectory. If you guess wrong, I will reward you with a kick. Boom. The kick hit Zoro hard in the chest. Huge force spreads from the chest to the whole body. Zoro vomited blood, his face became even paler, his breath was disordered, and the stabbing pain in his chest seemed to tear his body, which made him unbearable. Boom. In the end, Zoro flew upside down and hit the edge of the corner, unconscious. It's your turn. Layfon turned to Luffy and Sanji with a smile on his face. Next second. Shave. People. Lost again. Zoro. Seeing Zoro flying upside down, both Nami and Chopper turned pale with shock. Sanji, be careful. Luffy's eyes rolled wildly. Then he saw it. Behind Sanji, Layfon appeared. This moment. Sanji could feel a cold breath enveloping his body. No way. Sanji opened his mouth, his throat was dry. He twisted his stiff neck, but he didn't turn around. One kick already swept Sanji's waist heavily. Boom. Immediately, Sanji flew upside down to the wall not far away like a kite with a broken string. Rumble. There were bursts of violent trembling and shaking in the small room. Less than 10 seconds before and after. Zoro and Sanji were seconded one after another. At last, Luffy was the only one left struggling. It's over. It's over. It's really over now. Seeing that Zoro and Sanji lost their fighting abilities one after another, Nami and Chopper were full of panic, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Despair once again enveloped their hearts. The difference is, this time, they were not the only ones shrouded in despair. But, the entire Straw Hat Pirates fell into despair. Advertisement Chapter 79. The 7-year-old group destroys the Straw Hat Pirates. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Previously, Nami still had high hopes, hoping that Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji would join forces to turn things around and defeat the powerful enemy in front of them. Nami saw the situation in front of him. Zoro was killed in seconds again. Sanji, was kicked and flew unconscious. In the battlefield, only Luffy is left struggling to support. This scene, falling into Nami's pupils, wiped out the faintest hope left in her heart. It's over. It's really game over now. The Straw Hat Pirates will be completely removed from this sea today. 3 of them join forces, and none of them can shake each other. And now, Luffy is the only one left on the battlefield. How to fight this guy? Nami's pink lips moved slightly, and her body trembled uncontrollably. All 3 of them were defeated, and now there is only one person left, so there is no need to say more about the result. Do not. It was originally a team of 3 people, plus a Chopper. But Chopper was the first to be second. 3 people were killed in a row, and there was only one Luffy left. How did this make Nami believe that Luffy could turn the tide of the battle by himself? Is it possible? The odds are slim, tiny, close. How did we encounter monsters of this level? Nami couldn't help crying in her heart. Aside, cold sweat broke out on Usopp's forehead, and his hands holding the slingshot trembled uncontrollably. Fear. 383. Despair. Many emotions entangled in his heart. Let his head thinking become a mess. How to do? What to do? Zoro, Sanji, Chopper, they're all taken. Luffy alone, can it work? Just thought of. The 3 of them teamed up just now, but they couldn't shake the monster on the opposite side. Now only Luffy is left struggling to support it. Can they really stop that monster? It's over. Like Nami, Usopp was utterly hopeless. This time, it was really hopeless despair. No more reinforcements. All members of the Straw Hat Pirates have gathered here. The main fighters were all killed in seconds in this battle. No one can save them again in today's catastrophe. Quote. Sanji. In the battlefield, Luffy's eyes were full of anger and horror, looking at the direction where Zoro and Sanji were flying upside down, clenched his fists, and his mood became more and more depressed. He really didn't expect it. Zoro and Sanji were killed in seconds again. Now, he is alone. This guy, it's really, really strong. Except for the frozen man we met last time, this is the second time that all members of our entire pirate group have taken action, and we can't shake the other party. But, the guy in front of me is obviously only 6 or 7 years old. He is more terrifying than that frozen man. Gritting her teeth, Luffy recalled the fear of being dominated last time. That time, for the first time, he felt a boundless sense of powerlessness. And today is the second time. One person is enough to dominate their entire Straw Hat Pirates. Hard to imagine. A child of 6 or 7 years old has such terrifying strength. One person easily overthrows their entire pirate group. Powerless. A deep sense of powerlessness enveloped Luffy's heart. I gritted my teeth. Luffy turned his head, his eyes filled with earnest shouts. Nami, Usopp, you take Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper away. This decision was made after careful consideration. When the decision is made, that means the enemy in front of him makes Luffy completely helpless. The gap is too big. Advertisement. Even if he is reckless and nervous like Luffy, he can deeply feel the majestic oppression brought by the Layfon in front of him. If you don't escape, then no one can escape. Luffy, you. Nami opened his mouth, eyes full of astonishment. Of course, she never expected that someone with Luffy's personality would actually give such an order. This means that, let them escape. Get out of this place. Has this guy already made Luffy feel powerless? Nami can think. If it wasn't for the fact that the enemies they faced were so strong that even Luffy felt powerless, how could the latter make such a decision to let them escape with their partners? Nami, let's go. Usopp was the first to react, gritted his teeth and drank. Although he was deeply shocked by Luffy's decision, he didn't question it too much. No time for them to question. The enemy in front of them has already surpassed the level that their entire pirate group can fight against. Not escape. Then there is only one result. That is, the whole army is wiped out. Escape. Did you ask me? Layfon appeared in front of Luffy with a smile, holding a samurai sword, with a very indifferent expression. You be *********D. Don't even think about shooting my partner. Luffy shouted angrily. He attacked again. In the state of second gear, let his speed change into a human. Pity. Shave. Layfon's speed is much faster than Luffy's. Usopp, be careful. Luffy seemed to feel something, and shouted at Usopp and Nami anxiously. Really? His ominous premonition was confirmed. Instantly. Layfon appears next to Usopp and Nami. How are you two? Layfon spoke with a smile. Immediately, Usopp and Nami's bodies became extremely stiff, their lips trembled, and they felt a coldness rising from the soles of their feet to the sky, and they shivered all over. Stiff. Their bodies became as stiff as statues, unable to move. Like falling into a freezer. It's bitingly cold. Grunt. Usopp's throat was dry, he swallowed, his eyes were full of horror, looking back at the young figure beside him with a katana sword. When it was clear that Layfon was already standing beside him, Usopp's pupils were expanding infinitely at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the eyes were filled with deep horror. Layfon made a move, without waiting for Luffy to respond. Layfon kicked, sweeping across Usopp's waist. Boom. Moment. Usopp only felt that his entire waist was about to be torn apart, and the tingling sensation spread from his waist to his whole body, making him scream unbearably. At the same time, his body was blown away by a huge force. Finally, rumble. Usopp slammed against a wooden wall not far away and fell next to Sanji. Violent shaking and tremors came from the entire small room again. You Usopp. Nami's eyes were terrified, trembling. To her horror, she found that she had lost control of her body. She wants to escape, but the body can't move. Now you. Layfon turned his head and looked at Nami with a smile on his face. This immature and young face with a smile appeared in Nami's eyes, like a devil's smile, which shattered all the remaining courage in Nami's heart. Thump. Nami was paralyzed with fright. Her legs were weak, and she collapsed on the ground trembling. Fear has fully dominated her body, making her no longer even have the courage to stand up. Kindness. Advertisement. Has courage broken down altogether? Layfon looked at Nami strangely. Say, are you really that scary? Just scared Nami out of his wits. Damn it. Luffy makes a move. He dodges and appears beside Layfon, activating Devil Fruit's ability. Rubber. Bullet. A punch, like a bullet, rushed towards Layfon with unrivaled speed. With a slight sideways movement, Layfon dodged very lightly. Next moment, Layfon stepped on Moonwalk, and quickly used the 6-style shaving. Shave. At high altitude, Layfon's figure disappeared. Blink 2. Layfon stepped on Moonwalk and appeared above Luffy's head. So fast, Luffy's pupils shrank. He raised his head, and saw Layfon's blade infinitely enlarged from his eyes. Too late to escape, he can only block it abruptly. Just at the moment when the blade was about to cut off. Layfon's action suddenly ushered in a change. This made Luffy a little unexpected, his eyes widened and rounded, his expression was slightly startled, and his body's reaction function suddenly stopped. Fall down honestly. Layfon's eyes twinkled, and he kicked down hard. I see. Luffy immediately raised his arms, blocking in front of him. Boom. With one kick, Layfon kicked Luffy's arms head on. In an instant, huge force spread from Luffy's arms and spread to the whole body at a terrifying speed. Luffy clenched his teeth and endured the tingling pain. His arms gradually showed signs of numbness, and he trembled slightly uncontrollably. At the same time, terrifying force penetrated Luffy's body, smashing his whole body down to the deck below. Rumble. The deck was shattered, and a huge puncture appeared. As for Luffy, he was already deeply trapped under the ruins below the deck. A lot of broken wood debris fell on Luffy's body, almost burying his scarred body, as if forming a grave. At this moment, Luffy can't move, lying in the ruins with weak limbs. Room. The atmosphere has returned to silence again. No sound. But in this small room, there are very few people who are still standing. Only left with Layfon, Kebi and Beru Meber. The rest, all members of the Straw Hat Pirates, are already lying on the ground. There is only one Nami left at 0.5. She is paralyzed and shivering on the ground with weak legs. She no longer has the courage to resist, and she looks extraordinarily humble. As for Luffy, Zoro, Sanji and the others, they were all defeated by Layfon one by one without exception, giving them the ability to continue fighting on the spot. This battle has since come to an end. Layfon won. Very easy to win. On the other hand, the Straw Hat Pirates on the opposite side ushered in a disastrous defeat. Yes, very miserable defeat. The entire Straw Hat Pirates, under the circumstances of a joint attack by all members, was still unavoidable, and finally was easily wiped out by Layfon alone. This is a battle with a huge difference in numbers. With Layfon as the final winner, the curtain was drawn. Who could have imagined that the result of this battle would be that the Straw Hat Pirates would be completely crushed? To know, this is the Straw Hat Pirates. Captain Straw Hat Luffy, the bounty is as high as hundreds of millions of berry. And the bounties offered by the rest of the crew can add up, and the total bounty of the entire pirate group can directly approach the point of 200 million berry. However, it's such a powerful pirate group. But Layfon, who was only 7 years old, wiped out the group alone. If the news gets out, who would believe it? Who can believe it? I'm afraid that no one in the sea will believe such a horrible event that can be called a shock to the world. Advertisement Chapter 80 Showdown. My full name is Monkey D Layfon. Open black lens bracket, please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. It's over. Nami was paralyzed on the ground and shivering. Her beautiful eyes looked at the mess around her in horror. Her voice trembled, and her body was fully dominated by fear and despair. It's over. This time it's really over. Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper were taken. Luffy, West is second. Usopp, also be seconded. Of the entire Straw Hat Pirates, she is the only one who still maintains her own thinking and ability to act. Despair. A deep sense of despair lingered in Nami's heart. For the first time, Nami felt the boundless breath of despair. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. Nami's pink lips were trembling, and her beautiful eyes were looking at the ruins in the corner with fear. Zoro and Sanji, each fell on the edge of the corner. The wooden walls collapsed, and many scattered wood debris covered their bodies, almost completely burying their bodies underground. The atmosphere is silent, depressed. Nami seemed to be in a dark and endless corner, waiting for the despair to come, and the sense of fear fully dominated her body and mind. Wake up quickly. Nami's tears flowed, and her beautiful face was full of fear. Without any support, she could only paralyze and tremble on the ground. It's over. She knows. The Straw Hat Pirates are really over. No one can stop this monster in front of us. The guy sent by Marine really did it, destroying their entire pirate group with one person. What Nami couldn't even dream of is, the people sent by 14 Marine are the culprits who wiped out their entire Straw Hat Pirates. The other party was actually a child of 6 or 7 years old. Who can imagine this? A child of 6 or 7 easily wiped out their entire Straw Hat Pirates. Anyway, their pirate group also experienced countless hardships and defeated many famous big pirates in the sea, and finally arrived at the capital of Seven Waters. 7 warlords of the sea, all defeated by them. Never thought about it. In the capital of Seven Waters, they encountered a nightmare. A catastrophe sweeping through their entire pirate group. Beautiful lady, how do you feel when you were left alone? Layfon smiled and fixed his eyes on Nami. You. Nami's lips trembled, and she flinched back with her hands on the deck. The fear that Layfon brought to her has been deeply rooted in her bones, it is hard to erase. How can she face the fierce man who wiped out the Straw Hat Pirates with one person? You, don't come here. Nami panicked. She has retreated to the corner, there is no way to retreat. Feeling Layfon approaching step by step, Nami's fear magnified infinitely. Stand behind Layfon. Kebi and Beru Meber looked at the messy battlefield ahead with shocked faces. Ended. Yes, this battle has come to an end. And the result, at this moment, is placed in front of their eyes with incomparable clarity. Layfon 1. Destroy all members of the Straw Hat Pirates with one person. Mr. Layfon, it's too strong, isn't it? Belumbo's tone was full of horror. Alone, I really managed to destroy the Straw Hat Pirates. What an unbelievable thing this is, he can't even imagine it. One person, destroy the Straw Hat Pirates. Kebi opened his mouth, his eyes lost their focus, and his shocked mood could not be cooled down. If he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes, how could he dare to imagine such a terrible thing? Advertisement. Layfon, only 7 years old. At the age of 7, he managed to wipe out a pirate group with an accumulated bounty of 200 million berry. What kind of terrifying strength is this? Neither of them ever forgot. Before arriving at the capital of Seven Waters, the pirate ship encountered White Bear pirates, including the captain. The accumulative bounty of the crew is close to 200 million berry, or even higher. However, they, without exception, were wiped out by Layfon alone. More than 300 pirates, all of them were killed. That creepy scene is still deeply imprinted in the minds of Kebi and Beru Meber. Now, the Straw Hat Pirates are declared extinct. This is the second time that Layfon has wiped out a pirate group with such a strong overall strength. Mr. Layfon really did it, and don't need our reinforcements. Or in other words, our reinforcements, in his eyes, may simply be a burden to him. Kirby's throat was dry, he couldn't think of it. With the strength of both him and Beru Meber, how can they be qualified to be Layfon's reinforcements? Reinforce. More than a burden. Tread. The footsteps stopped abruptly. Nami paralyzed in the corner in fear, motionless. With her back against the wall, her eyes were completely filled with the color of fear. And Layfon has already stood by Nami's side. His young figure, holding a samurai sword, looked down at Nami who was paralyzed and shivering on the ground. Young, but it brings endless oppression and panic to Nami. Seeing, Nami was so terrified that he almost peed in fear. Layfon wondered, do you want to wipe them all out? It seems that the Straw Hat Pirates are indeed too weak. This is beyond Layfon's own expectations. To catch, or not to catch. It seems a little too unreasonable to catch them all in one go. Anyway, I am also a member of the monkey family. Although the old man said, let me decide, but he always feels that he is not mean. Really arrest your relatives. This is unnecessary. Furthermore, I am not a real marine now. I have absolutely no obligation to capture a group of pirates. A smile appeared on Layfon's face, and his thoughts became much more open-minded. Really, strictly speaking, the current Layfon is not yet a real marine, but only a preliminary marine, the kind that has not really joined the marine. Nature. Marine's responsibilities cannot yet be bound to Layfon. Marine catching pirates is not feasible here in Fuchong. Even if he really became a marine, so what? Marine rules. Feel sorry. Here at my Layfon, marine rules don't work. Kebi, Siwang Maibo. Layfon turned around and looked at Kirby and the two of them. Mr. Layfon. The two were full of respect. Go and bring all the fallen members of the Straw Hat Pirates together. Be careful, they may still maintain the last trace of fighting power, which should not be underestimated. You must not be seriously injured by their final counterattack. If I become a hostage, I may not be able to guarantee your safety. Layfon patted Kirby on the shoulder, solemnly exhorting. Yes. Kebi and Balumbo turned around and walked towards the ruined areas. Not long. Luffy, dragged out of the rubble by Kirby, dragged all the way to Nami's side. Luffy. Looking at Luffy's scarred appearance, Nami's eyelids fluttered wildly, and his face was full of sadness and fear. Advertisement. Then, the four of them, Zoro, Sanji, Chopper, and Usopp, were dragged out of the ruins one after another, and all of them were placed in the Nami area. One look. The Straw Hat Pirates are so terrible. Everyone was badly wounded and appeared to be dying. Damn it. Luffy didn't faint, but his limbs were weak. He gritted his teeth and stared at Layfon angrily. His eyes didn't move, his expression was full of unwillingness. Including Zoro and Sanji, they are all in the same state. They didn't faint and lose consciousness, but they were seriously injured and couldn't move easily. The body seemed to be smashed down by a heavy object. Even if he tried his best, he still couldn't support his body and keep standing. Pairs of eyes full of anger stared fixedly at Layfon without moving. Deep despair entangled in the hearts of all of them. They don't think so. The Straw Hat Pirates can survive this catastrophe. Already in a desperate situation. Powerless revolving heaven. No reinforcements can save their Straw Hat Pirates. Is this the end of our journey? Sanji coughed, with a bloodline on the corner of his mouth, and his face was pale. Maybe. Zoro's tone was weaker than ever. How are you guys? Nami looked at his friends beside him worriedly. I can't die. But being caught by Marine, it's a lot worse than death. Sanji laughed at himself, shaking his head and sighing. It's over. The Straw Hat Pirates will completely disappear in this sea from today. From now on, thieves, this sea will never exist again. They lost this battle, lost in a mess, and the consequence of defeat is all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates will be captured by Marine and thrown into prison, and they will lose the freedom to sail in this sea ever since. Everyone, blame me for being too weak. Luffy gritted his teeth with a look of unwillingness. His journey has just begun. How could he tolerate that his journey ended in the capital of Seven Waters? And, missing Robin, they haven't found each other yet. They still have a lot of things to do. How can they be terminated here? It's not that we are too weak. Instead, this guy sent by Marine, he's too fishy. Usopp opened his red and swollen eyes, looking very embarrassed with bloodline on his face. Immediately, everyone present was silent, and did not deny Usopp's point of view. In fact, their strength is already very strong. But helpless. The people Marine sent this time are much, much stronger than them. What's even scarier is, the one who killed them was a 6 or 7-year-old child. The atmosphere is depressing. The Straw Hat Pirates are in despair. Everyone, I have good news for you. Step by step, Layfon walked up to all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates. The oppression from Layfon made Luffy and the others silent for a while. Good news. Are you going to take them to Marine prison? Good news for them. What a joke. Regarding Layfon's words, they chose to remain silent. Immediately, Layfon lowered his head and looked deeply at the group of guys lying on the ground with desperate expressions on their faces. The smile on his face seemed a bit meaningful. Speaking of which, I also have a relationship with your Straw Hat Pirates. It's okay to tell you now. Actually, my full name is Monkey D Layfon. Advertisement Chapter 81. What is this monster of emotion? One of our own. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. By now, Layfon didn't want to play with them anymore. As Garp said, play once and you'll get it, play too hard and it's hard to end. Anyway, after all, he is also his own titular big brother. Make the other party too embarrassing, as if it is not kind. Exa. Now Luffy is very embarrassed and embarrassed. So, Layfon figured, it was time to reveal his identity. Keep playing. These guys of the Straw Hat Pirates are afraid that they will really doubt their lives. Enough is enough. In this regard, Layfon can still control it. If you keep playing, the Straw Hat Pirates will really collapse. Layfon couldn't help shaking his head and laughing. Destroy the Straw Hat Pirates with one man. This experience must be memorable for Luffy and the others for the rest of their lives. However, my stupid big brother. The strength is too weak. With this strength, how can I protect my partner? Today, my lesson can be regarded as a free meeting gift for him. Showdown. I don't pretend anymore. Layfon, I'm 7 years old and my full name is Monkey D Layfon. Now, as Layfon's voice sounded, it fell slowly and spread in all directions. The atmosphere has become more and more eerie. Silence. No sound. It was like suddenly falling into dead silence. What the hell? Luffy froze. Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp were also stunned. All members of the Straw Hat Pirates were stunned. Their eyes, which were originally full of unwillingness and anger, became a little dull, stunned, and confused. What did they hear just now? Hallucination. Immediately. A pair of eyes full of astonishment turned around together, and finally fixed on Layfon's body. His expression was full of puzzlement and horror. What did you just say? Usopp's lips trembled and he couldn't help blurting out. Monkey, is it the family I imagined? Nami's pink lips moved slightly, and her beautiful eyes changed from panic to consternation. Fear seemed to gradually dissipate from her heart. What did she hear? Really? Luffy. Zoro and Sanji's eyes widened, and they turned to look at Luffy with a confused face. What's the situation? Very good. Great change in style. The rapid change made them unexpected and unable to react. The desperate atmosphere eased slightly and became a little weird. Luffy opened his mouth, his expression changed from unwilling to dull. Even he was stunned. Did I miss it? Chopper intervened weakly. No, it's not that you're wrong, it's that we're all wrong. Nami couldn't help swallowing. The fear of Layfon remained in the pupils of his eyes, but it was much less than before. Grunt. A group of people's throats rolled, their expressions horrified. Who are you? Backquote. Luffy stared at Layfon with wide eyes. Monkey. Same as my last name. Advertisement. What is this for? Could it be the other party? Do you really write that you have a relationship? Luffy's mind became confused and transfixed. Dahai, it seems that there is no second monkey family. Layfon looked at the group of Straw Hat Pirates with a smile. The most important thing is, behind Monkey, there is AD. This is different. Look at the sea, only this one. Luffy lisps. He has no impression at all that there is such a number one person in his family. Actually, I just learned my surname. In short, I have the same father as you. As for the same mother, it's hard to say. My father's name is Long. Grandpa's name is Garp. Layfon looked calm and chose to fully inform the matter. There is nothing to hide. The truth, sooner or later, will be revealed. In addition, Layfon came here today to meet with Luffy, which is a kind of acquaintance. Hide, there is no need for this. To deal with the Straw Hat Pirates itself is just a game on Layfon's whim. The game should also be over. The Straw Hat Pirates, weaker than Jean Layfon. It had to be terminated early, and the game continued. If the game continues, there is no guarantee that the Straw Hat Pirates will leave a very deep and heavy psychological shadow on Layfon. What? Luffy's eyes widened even more exaggeratedly. Did you hear me wrong? Do not. You heard me right. The guy did say it. That is to say, Nami gathered his thoughts aside, his pink lips moved slightly, and his tone was a little confused. Luffy, this guy, he, seems to be your brother. The words fell. The atmosphere is getting weirder. Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp were all stunned. Chopper opened his jaw wide, dumbfounded. Obediently, what's the matter? Why did things suddenly develop into this situation? Their minds are still very confused. Younger brother. Luffy herself was a little hard to imagine. Emotion. Have a younger brother. Or brother. Same father. Same grandpa's younger brother. Not right. Old man, I have never mentioned this matter to myself. Where did this little brother come from? Luffy's mind went blank. I can't think of a reason at all, nor can I think of a reasonable explanation. He is Luffy's younger brother. Zoro and Sanji looked at each other with horror on their faces. Real or fake, Luffy's younger brother is actually a monster of this level. Did I hear wrong? Sanji was in a daze. You heard me right, and neither did I. Zoro suppressed the horror in his heart, but the shock on his expression was still hard to hide. Luffy's brother. The development of this matter is too dramatic. The rapid change made the entire Straw Hat Pirates fall into a state of confusion. Including Luffy, the mood at the moment is the same. A Marine who was only 6 or 7 years old easily wiped out their entire pirate group. Advertisement. The other party is actually Luffy's younger brother. A member of the monkey family. The development of this matter made them feel as if they were hit hard on the forehead by a heavy object, their whole heads were buzzing, their thinking was confused, and it was difficult to calm down. I thought they were in a desperate situation. The Straw Hat Pirates will also disappear in this sea starting today. Never thought. Finally, things ushered in a turning point. And this turning point is still so unbelievable. This terrifying monster that easily overthrows their pirate group. It's Luffy's brother. This is so shocking. The hopeless situation was resolved so strangely. The nightmare that had engulfed their Straw Hat Pirates disappeared in a strange and bizarre way. Up until now, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, they all still feel that things are developing like a dream. It's too unreal. It is even more dreamy than the stories in fairy tales. With absolutely overwhelming strength, this one who dominates our entire pirate group. He is Luffy's disciple. Just thought of, relying on their own strength, they easily overthrew the culprit of their pirate group. The other party is actually related to Luffy by blood, so it is difficult for them to calm down. The machine is resolved. The desperate situation just disappeared. But the mood of everyone present was still unable to calm down. Instead, compared with their mood just now, the emotional ups and downs are even more intense. This, isn't it a joke? Usopp is still in disbelief. Maybe, probably, should, not kidding. Nami's tone was uncertain. Her beautiful eyes still looked dull, and the shock in her heart could not be dissipated. FFLX. Are we saved? Do not. Wrong. It should be said that from the very beginning, they never fell into real despair. This tragic defeat of the Straw Hat Pirates was just a joke. Thinking of this, the fear in Nami's heart disappeared. Her trembling body recovered slightly. My brother. Luffy looked at Layfon, speechless for a while. Luffy, you. Zoro looked at Luffy and was about to speak. But when he saw Luffy's bewildered expression, he swallowed all the words again. Don't ask. Looking at Luffy's posture, Wong Hao, it's obvious that the other party doesn't know about it. That is to say, the one we faced just now is a terrifying existence as powerful as a monster. His identity is Luffy's younger brother. In short, the current crisis of our pirate group has been resolved in this weird way. Our Straw Hat Pirates don't have to be wiped out today. We don't need to be imprisoned in marine prison. Many messy thoughts flooded into Sanji's mind at the same time. What the hell? Emotion. This monster is one of our own. Think about it. The shadow of fear that shrouded the hearts of Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp gradually dissipated. Of course they never dreamed of it. In this desperate situation, electricity will be resolved in this way. Paused. Zoro and Sanji had a strange thought in their foreheads at the same time. They couldn't help but raise their heads, and looked at Luffy who was full of confusion at the moment with a strange expression on his face. Say something. Luffy, you brother, you are too fierce. It's just unbelievably strong. He is only 6 or 7 years old, but he did it abruptly. With his own strength, he easily overturned the amazing feat of our entire Straw Hat Pirates. Compare it like this. It will really appear that our Straw Hat Pirates are very good. Advertisement Chapter 82. Obviously the same blood, why so much difference? Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. You are my brother. Luffy's eyes widened, looking at Layfon, his face full of confusion and bewilderment. FFLX. The chief culprit who dominates the pirates is his relatives. And myself, was given a second by my younger brother who was only 6 or 7 years old. Do not, even the entire pirate group was wiped out by his younger brother. Good guy. The old man never mentioned that he still has such a terrifying monster brother. Really, Luffy only felt foggy, his whole head was in a mess, and it was difficult to calm down in a short time. What is it like to suddenly have a younger brother? This moment, Luffy felt it. It is unbelievable that my younger brother is as weak as a monster. Only through personal experience, the fight with Layfon, can everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates understand it more clearly. Layfon, who is only 6 or 7 years old in front of me, is such a freak with terrifying strength. By the way, the old man has also come to the capital of Seven Waters. If you don't believe me, you can ask him later. Layfon waved his hand and smiled. The old man is here too. Luffy's eyes widened. He couldn't help but think back to the fear of being dominated by Garp's loving iron fist. Gradually, he vaguely believed that the Layfon in front of him belonged to his relatives. Although this is indeed a bit unimaginable and shocking to the world. But the other party has no reason to joke around at this time. This is completely unreasonable. The opponent already has the chance to win, completely controlling the lives of their entire Straw Hat Pirates. Their life and death are only in the opponent's thought. What's the point of lying? Their lives are in the palm of each other's hands, so is it necessary to lie to 183? That is, don't we have to be arrested and go to marine prison? Usopp's throat was dry and he looked at Layfon with fear in his eyes. Even though the crisis was resolved, he still felt a deep fear of Layfon in his heart. The strength shown by Layfon just now made everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates feel depressed from the bottom of their hearts. I'm thinking about that. The old man told me that if you are too weak, it would be better to put you all in the big submarine prison of Impel Down at once, so as to save you from causing trouble outside. Layfon smiled, lost in thought. The words fell. Usopp panicked. His face was pale, and his body began to tremble again. We're not too bad, are we? Nami forced a smile, her face pale and bloodless. Certainly, compared to other pirates in the sea, they are not too bad. But if they are compared with the Layfon in front of them, they are simply inferior to the depths of their souls. They were wiped out by one person, and they didn't have the confidence to speak in front of Layfon. You guys are pretty much the same, let me define. Layfon glanced at Nami with a playful smile. Stared by Layfon's eyes, Nami's delicate body trembled, and she quickly lowered her head, her pretty face became a little flustered, and she dared not speak anymore. Obviously, in her heart, Layfon is a monster as strong as a nightmare. For a while, all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates fell silent again. They couldn't decide what Layfon wanted to do with them. Forget it, I will let you go this time. Furthermore, Biek, I have not officially joined the Marine. Catching pirates is the responsibility and obligation of the Marine, but I have not yet become a Marine. Before that, Marine's responsibilities certainly couldn't restrain me. Layfon smiled strangely. He had no intention of arresting these guys himself. Advertisement. But, it's fun to scare a little. This is not. After a little scaring, this group of unscrupulous guys became extraordinarily quiet. Call. It can be clearly felt that Usopp, Chopper and others have finally spit out the heavy depression in their hearts, and spit out a breath full of depression from their mouths, making their bodies seem to become much more relaxed. A desperate life. Usopp still feels. Things can develop as they are now. I have to say, this is really more like a dream than the story in the fairy tale. I thought it was hopeless. I never thought about it, and finally ushered in a turning point. And this turning point is still so ingenious. Who can imagine? Give them the whole pirate group, bring hopeless sinful guts. Emotion. The other party is actually his own. We don't have to go to jail. Luffy was dumbfounded and dazed. Some of his brain circuits can't keep up with the development of things today. At this time, after this time of recovery, Zoro gradually regained the ability to control his body, propped his hands on the deck, and stood up from the deck. Although his body still looks particularly heavy, he has slightly regained his control over his body. Certainly, even so, he still didn't dare to take a light shot against Layfon in front of him. Not to mention, Layfon seems to have become one of his own. The strength of Layfon alone is enough to make Zoro feel as if he is facing a big enemy and dare not act rashly. Of course he didn't forget the experience of being instantly killed twice by Layfon just now. This tragic defeat must have left a deep impression on Zoro in his life, and it will be difficult to erase it from his mind. This is the first time for Zoro. In the field of swordsmanship, such a miserable defeat has been attempted. And the opponent is actually a child who is only 6 or 7 years old. This humiliation far exceeds Zoro's humiliation when he was defeated by Hawkeye with a knife. I want to ask, how old are you? Zoro took a deep breath and asked solemnly. The words just fell. Luffy, Sanji and the others looked sideways, looking at Layfon with horror on their faces. Exclamation mark. They still can't figure out, how old is Layfon? From the looks of it, he will definitely not be more than 10 years old. And their entire pirate group was overthrown by the opponent's easy one-man group destruction. How old am I? Does it matter? Layfon smiled. I want to know what kind of existence I lost to. Zoro gave the reason. I am 7 years old this year. Layfon looked at Zoro meaningfully, and chose to tell the truth. 7 years old. Layfon's words, like a thorn, directly pierced into Zoro's mind, making his thinking go blank, his expression stunned, and he stood there in a daze, like a statue motionless. Only 7 years old. I was blown away by a 7-year-old child in the field of swordsmanship. What a sad thing. Zoro suddenly had difficulty breathing. Tingling, piercing into the heart. For a while, Zoro turned pale, and couldn't help but take a few steps back before stabilizing his slightly shaking body. Compared with the wounds of the body and skin, the wounds of the soul are more difficult to heal. Today's Zoro has endured 10,000 times more mental trauma. Our Straw Hat Pirates, are we really going to be wiped out by a 7-year-old kid? Usopp's head was buzzing. Advertisement. It's terrible. What a freak out of nowhere. At the age of 7, they overthrew their entire pirate group. Anyway, they are the mighty Straw Hat Pirates, but the pirate group that defeated the 7 warlords of the sea was unexpectedly wiped out by a 7-year-old child. What a shocking worldly thing this is. This is out, who would believe it? Are the Straw Hat Pirates still shameless? Killed by a 7-year-old child. If this really spreads across the ocean, will the Straw Hat Pirates continue to hang around in this ocean? People who haven't experienced it, of course, can't understand how powerful this 7-year-old child can be. 7 years old. Nami's pink lips moved slightly, and her pretty face was full of shock. Everyone was moved by it. This moment, only then did the members of the Straw Hat Pirates realize that the culprit who wiped out their entire pirate group was only a 7-year-old child. Luffy, this is your brother. Usopp couldn't help but look at Luffy suspiciously. Real or fake, your younger brother seems to be so fierce that it's scary. So strong at the age of 7. Give it a few more years to grow. How powerful is that? Goosebumps rose all over Usopp. Unbelievable. Can't fathom. Zoro, have you been abused by a 7-year-old child in the field of swordsmanship? Chopper was confused. In its eyes, Zoro is already considered a very strong person. Never thought about it. A 7-year-old child easily smashed Zoro's proud sword skills. Obediently. This is too scary. Although the current crisis has been resolved, the mood of everyone present is still difficult to calm down. This defeat was too tragic. The key is from beginning to end, there is only one person on the opposite side. Alone, easily crush their Straw Hat Pirates. The scary thing is, this person is a child of Fuda. One thought here. Zoro, Sanji and the others couldn't help looking suspiciously at Luffy beside him, who was in a dazed state, with many thoughts floating in their hearts, and they couldn't help but complain. Say something. Luffy, your brother is so fierce, why are you so good at it? They clearly share the same lineage. Why is there such a big difference between the two? Luffy is 16 or 17 years old at least. But the strength is far inferior to this 7-year-old brother. This is so seriously wrong. Same lineage. They should have the same talent. But who can explain to them? Luffy, the younger brother, is such a monster when he is only 7 years old. And Luffy himself, why is Mao 16 or 17 years old, and still be crushed by others so embarrassingly? The gap is too big. Like a chasm. In terms of strength, there is a world of difference between the two. As for age, that's more than twice as bad. FFLX. Did we follow a fake captain? Zoro and Sanji thought strangely. Advertisement Chapter 83 Luffy, your brother is such a scary monster. Open black lens bracket, please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. A 7-year-old. A 17-year-old. It's all the same family, with the same blood flowing through them. But who can explain it to us? Luffy, your strength is too good. Your brother is only 7 years old. You were instantly killed by your 7-year-old brother. As a big brother, what face do you have? How embarrassing. Usopp, Nami and the others stared at Luffy with weird eyes, and couldn't help complaining in their hearts. The gap is too big. Let them can't help but produce. These two people are unlikely to be the deja vu of relatives. Otherwise, why is the talent gap so big? Everyone was dumbfounded. Before the comparison, they believed without hesitation that Luffy was very talented and tenacious, which can be said to be quite high talent. But after comparison, they suddenly overturned all previous thoughts. Luffy, this is so delicious. Gifted. Is this considered a talent? Exclamation mark. Luffy, what kind of talent is your brother's talent? Emotion. Luffy, you are the best one in your family. After a strong contrast, the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates understood deeply. Luffy's talent seems to be weak. Mr. Luffy. When everyone was shocked, Kebi selectively intervened, and his voice sounded weakly from the wall. At this time, only then did people realize the existence of Kebi and the two Marines. Different from the fearful look at Layfon, the expressions of Luffy and others are only slightly serious and dignified when they look at Kebi and Berumeber. They won't want us, will they? Usopp was a little uneasy. His name is Kebi, do you have any impression? Layfon looked at Luffy and Zoro with a smile. Kirby. Luffy's forehead was a little dazed. Immediately. He took a closer look at Kebi, and thought of a short pink-haired guy in his mind. Although the impression was a little long ago, he still remembered it. The kid who aims to become Marine Admiral. Consistent with your goal of becoming the One Piece. To this, Luffy's impression of Kebi is quite deep. Are you Kirby? Luffy's eyes widened, a little confused. Something is wrong. The Kebi in my impression is not so high. Moreover, the character is timid and timid. Mr. Luffy, it's me. Kirby nodded excitedly. Hearing this, Luffy is still a little unimaginable. That little guy in the past has suddenly grown into this appearance. Ahem, and me. Belumbo gave a dry cough, showing his sense of existence. Who are you? Luffy asked puzzledly. I'm Belumbo. Belumbo introduced himself confidently. No impression. Luffy, Zoro shook their heads. Kindness. Belumbo widened his eyes, and introduced anxiously, that's the one, Colonel Marine, the son of Menka who was beaten up by you. The words fell. Luffy and Zoro stared wide-eyed, looking at Belumbo in front of them. It's actually you. It's me, I have now successfully become an excellent and qualified Marine. Belumbo shook off the Marine soldier uniform on his body. Advertisement. Oh, unexpectedly, everyone's reaction was very flat. This made Belumbo discouraged, and he stood beside him helplessly. We've met and met, Kebi, we're going to go. Layfon waved his hand, interrupting Kirby's conversation with Luffy. Yes, Dr. Dirty. Kirby nodded respectfully and went back behind Layfon. Next time, don't let me touch you. No, I really don't know for sure. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll arrest you all in the impel-down submarine prison. Why? But I'm looking forward to. The next time I meet you, your strength can surprise me. I hope that you won't be easily wiped out by me alone again. Layfon had an expectant smile on his face. To this, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates looked uncomfortable. Can't refute. They did lose to Layfon. And still a fiasco. The kind that was easily wiped out by Layfon alone. Of course, they didn't have the guts to refute Layfon's remarks. Only Luffy was very nervous, and shouted confidently, next time we meet, I will not be defeated by you. I am the man who wants to be the One Piece. Secondary school as always. Shame. Nami and Usopp standing beside Luffy were speechless. Luffy, at least you have to see who is in front of you before you say these words. This is Marine. In front of a Marine, you threaten to become the One Piece. Is this really appropriate, although this is your brother? But your brother is as strong as a monster. Once he repents, it will be the end of our pirate team. Luffy, you have to weigh your own strength before you say these words. Standing in front of your 7-year-old brother, how did you have the courage to say that you want to become the One Piece? In comparison, I suddenly felt that if your younger brother becomes a pirate, the Pirate King may not be your turn. Zoro thought strangely in his heart. He is completely convinced by Layfon. The level of swordsmanship at the age of 7 has reached such a terrifying level. It's not hard to imagine. Give the other party a few more years, and he will definitely be far behind. The goal of the world's #1 swordsman is even further away. Zoro's mentality showed some signs of collapse. Just thought of. On the way to the world's #1 swordsman, there was a monster called Layfon blocking him, and he felt powerless in his heart. A freak who was only 7 years old, but completely abused himself in the field of swordsmanship. How does this allow me to surpass myself? Question mark. Does it really make sense? If you work hard, will the other party not work hard? With the efforts of both parties, talent becomes crucial. Do not. Wrong. More precisely, hard work beats talent. After all, Zoro has always believed that he is a very hardworking swordsman. But when he met Layfon, he met a freak who was only 7 years old and whose sword skills were very penultimate. This subverts many of Zoro's previous states. Talent is so important. If it weren't for the extremely terrifying talent, how could a 7-year-old child's swordsmanship attainment reach this level? Today, Zoro suddenly felt that his 10 years of hard work might not be as good as a few months of honing by a talented person. The gap is really too big. Zoro was in a trance, in a state where his mind suffered an unprecedented blow. This state, presumably, will not be able to return to the original state in a short time. Being completely crushed by a child who was only 7 years old with swordsmanship. Advertisement. It can be said that, in the field that Zoro is most proud of, trample him hard. Asking for flowers. Naturally, this blow cannot be alleviated in a short period of time. Same bloodline. Luffy and his younger brother have vastly different talents and strengths. Everyone was deeply moved. At the moment, Luffy still doesn't know. His talent was infinitely lowered by his own crew. As the saying goes, no comparison, no harm. After the comparison, Luffy looks like an ordinary person, without any outstanding features. Everyone, I look forward to seeing you next time. Layfon waved his hand and didn't stay here for too long. Just go back and talk to Garp casually, no need for too much explanation. I am not a marine, of course I have to leave it to professional marines to catch pirates. Turn around. Layfon stepped forward very quickly, leaving the small and dilapidated room step by step. Behind him, Kebi and Belumbo followed closely. Instantly, Layfon left with the two of them. From Luffy's eyes, they drifted away until they completely disappeared from their sight. The atmosphere is still very quiet. Even with Layfon gone, the vibe is as eerie as ever. Things that you can't imagine in your dreams happen before your eyes. The development of this matter is even more incredible than the events in the dream. Usopp was terrified. Yes, both Nami and Chopper deeply agree. Things are getting too weird. To this day, they are still in a difficult mood to recover. A monster with terrifying strength suddenly came to going merry, crushing them with lightning speed. Finally, the other party suddenly told them, this is just a small test, and they are really going to be arrested. This joke is too big. Their psychological endurance was frightened by this joke and they were on the verge of collapse. Strictly speaking, just now, their psychological endurance has completely collapsed. The moment of being wiped out by Layfon alone. In fact, they have collapsed and despaired. But never expected. In the desperate situation, let them see this weird dawn of hope. Emotion. This is just a test, a game. This really scared them a lot. Luffy, your parents didn't tell you. Your brother, is it so scary? Sanji looked at Luffy strangely. Everyone agrees with this statement. No, this younger brother is too strong. Only 7 years old. With such a terrifying level of strength at the age of 7, in a few years, who else in the sea can restrain this freak with such terrifying strength? I don't even know now, I have a younger brother. Luffy opened his mouth. Your brother, what a terrible monster. Strong, it makes people feel a little desperate. Only 7 years old, did he start practicing in the womb? Achieved at the age of 7, in the field of swordsmanship Zoro. The mood of a group of people is still full of shock, it is difficult to calm down. What they have experienced today will undoubtedly impress all of them in this life. In particular, Nami, Usopp, Chopper and the others must never be forgotten in this life. Once upon a time, they are dominated by the hopeless experience of a 7-year-old child who brings boundless fear. Advertisement Chapter 84 Kaku. I was killed instantly. Open black lens bracket please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. With Kebi and Beru Meber, Layfon quickly walked out of the gate of the number 1 shipyard. Along the way, it is inevitable to still see the group of comatose and unconscious workers lying on both sides of the ground. Swept by Layfon's conquerors, it's not so easy to wake up. Furthermore, these people, at best, are just a group of ordinary workers, who don't even have the willpower of ordinary pirates. Those affected by conquerors, conservatively estimated that it will take more than half a day to gradually regain consciousness. Mr. Layfon, don't make such a big fuss next time. In this way, it will seriously damage the imagination of our marine. Looking at this group of workers who fell to the ground, Kebi couldn't help but give advice. Marine's image. None of my business. I'm not a marine yet. Layfon waved his hand, his face was strange. Hearing this, Kebi was speechless for a while. It seems that there is nothing wrong with it. Layfon, indeed, is not yet an official marine. The rules and image of marine naturally have nothing to do with Layfon. This. Kebi opened his mouth, unable to speak. Okay, mother-in-law, how to do Marine Admiral? Layfon glanced at Kirby. Marine Admiral, as for you, should you wait until the year of the monkey to become Marine Admiral? Mr. Layfon, where do we go next? Belumbo asked curiously from the side. 877, he hasn't been to the capital of Seven Waters yet. He used to be in the sea area of East Blue. This time he finally came to the capital of Seven Waters. Naturally, he wanted to see the environment and customs here. Don't be in a hurry to go back and report to the old man. We will walk around here in the capital of Seven Waters for the time being. We have come here, so we can't leave so soon. At least we have to feel the atmosphere of the capital of water. Layfon spoke slowly. Naturally, Kebi and Beru Meber had no objections, and they dared not have objections. Then, Layfon took Kebi and Belumbo all the way to the prosperous streets of the capital of Seven Waters. It's a very clean and tidy room. There are few facilities and it looks very empty. The wind blows gently. The windows were blown and the soft curtains fluttered with the wind. Tread, tread. With the sound of footsteps, the loud voice echoed in all directions, lingering in this clean room, it took a long time to completely dissipate. Kaku, why are you here? Seeing Kaku approaching with a heavy face, wearing a black suit and a black dress cap, the thin young man showed a surprised expression. On the young man's shoulder stood a white dove, which was particularly eye-catching. Rob Lucci, the heart of the CP9 organization. Compared to Spandam, the leader of CP9, Lucci is more like the real leader. And Spandam is only the chief of CP9 in name. In fact, many orders are issued by Lucci, and will not pass through Spandam. This is the base of the CP9 organization. Therefore, when he saw Kaku returning to this place with such a hasty expression, Lucci would naturally be deeply surprised. Did some accident happen? Think about it. Lucci frowned, and his expression became a little cold. Plans, accidents. As an excellent agent, Lucci certainly does not allow this kind of thing to happen. After planning for 5 or 6 years, how can there be an accident? In any case, Lucci would never tolerate seeing such a thing. Accident. Non-existent. In his hands, there are no accidents. For an excellent agent, the task is more important than his own life. The same is true for Lucci. In order to complete the task, you can do whatever it takes. What happened? Made you come here at the risk of revealing your identity? Advertisement. Lucci frowned, and asked immediately. No greetings too much. Members of the CP9 organization are often engaged in conversation tasks, and will not mix too many boring topics. A very unstable factor has emerged. Our plan may change because of him. Kaku's tone was unprecedentedly heavy, and his mood is still not completely calm. What happened just now left a deep impression on him. In a short time, Kaku couldn't completely calm down from the shocking emotion. Unstable factor. Lucci's face changed a little, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. For a complete plan, the most feared thing is the unstable factor. Because no one can predict. How much impact will this unstable factor have on the plan? It is possible that it will affect the normal progress of the plan. It is also possible that the development of the organization plan will be organized. More likely, will destroy this whole complete plan. All in all, unstable factors mean that there is a huge loophole in the plan, which will always threaten whether the plan can be carried out as they expected. So, Lucci has always adhered to the principle of dealing with unstable factors. Obliterate, eliminate them as quickly as possible. In this way, we can ensure that the plan can be carried out as they expected. What unstable factor? Lu Chi continued to ask questions. One person. A Marine. I also can't figure out why Marine suddenly ran to the capital of Seven Waters. Moreover, this Marine is completely different from the Marines we have encountered before. Simply different. Kaku took a deep breath, his mood still throbbing deeply. He never forgot. It's a thing that can be killed instantly by a single face-to-face. That moment, Kaku felt that his distance from death was really only in the other's mind. Although this was when he was not fully prepared, even so, it was enough to show the terrifying level of strength of the opponent. Even if Kaku is fully prepared, he doesn't think he can shake that guy. Quote ? Quote. Lu Chi looked unkind. Why did Marine suddenly go to the capital of Seven Waters? This is completely different from the news I have received. There is no news that Marine will appear in the capital of Seven Waters in the near future. Could it be? Is there something wrong with the information network of the CP organization? If Marine intervenes in the affairs of the capital of Seven Waters, it is indeed a very huge unstable factor. Suddenly, Lu Chi's eyes flashed, and he keenly caught the strangeness of Kaku's remarks just now. Wait a minute, you just said that it was a Marine. Isn't it a group of Marines? Right. Kaku's face was still heavy. Definitely not a group. But one. However, it is such a Marine that endows Kaku with an endless sense of oppression. In contrast, Kaku was more inclined to let them meet a group of Marines, and he was unwilling to meet such a terrifying Marine. That terrifying Marine, one person can easily match a group of Marines. There is absolutely no exaggeration in these words. But Kaku himself has a deep understanding. If you can choose. Kaku is willing to face the Marine of a warship, and doesn't want to run into that monster again. Can a Marine become an unstable factor? Lu Chi narrowed his eyes. He sensed that something was wrong. With Kaku's strength, he would pay so much attention to the opponent. Obviously. Advertisement. That Marine may really be no ordinary person. Otherwise, with Kaku's strength, it is impossible to describe the other party exaggeratedly. Even, have you ever fought him? Lu Chi asked solemnly. He suspects that Kaku has already fought against his opponent, and this is why he understands so deeply the huge threat that Marine poses to their CP organization. It's not a fight, but it can be regarded as a brief confrontation. Kaku exhaled heavily, his heart sank. Whenever he recalled that brief confrontation, his mood became extremely depressed. Thump thump. In the quiet atmosphere, there was a crisp sound of high heels stepping on the ground. A tall woman in black clothes, with glasses, looks very beautiful and dignified, exuding a unique temperament, walking step by step with a pair of long legs. One of the members of the CP organization, Khalifa. The identity on the surface is the current director of the Carrera Company and the secretary of the governor of the capital of Seven Waters, Bingshan. Why are you all here? Khalifa was surprised to see Lu Chi and Kaku. Unstable factors have emerged and need to be resolved in a timely manner. Lu Chi told the matter briefly. Unstable factor. A look of surprise flashed across Khalifa's beautiful eyes. Lu Chi and Kaku can be identified as unstable factors, it must be a very extraordinary character. She is also very curious about it. But she doesn't think that this so-called unstable factor can hinder the implementation of their plan. No one, any unstable factor, can stop their plan. For this plan, they have been planning and preparing for 5 or 6 years. How can you tolerate being destroyed by others? Furthermore, Khalifa is well aware of Lu Chi's horror. Presumably. With Lu Chi's ability, he will be able to eliminate all these so-called unstable factors. Okay, as I said just now, have you ever fought against that Marine? Lu Chi asked again. Almost. Kaku nodded. How is the result? Lu Chi's eyes flickered, and he asked seriously. He has always understood Kaku's strength. Although not as good as him, he can definitely be regarded as one of the top powerhouses in the CP9 organization. Even if he himself wants to deal with Kaku, it will take a lot of effort and means. Even, it may not be possible to win Kaku 100%. So, Lu Chi is very curious, how will the result of the fight between Kaku and the unstable Marine with a factor of 0.5 unfold? Tell me, you may not believe it. With a heavy heart, Kaku opened his mouth, unable to speak for a while. What's the meaning? An ominous premonition arose in Lu Chi's heart. Seeing Kaku's expression, he felt bad. Kaku, who can make such a powerful man, show such a heavy expression fluctuation? Want to come. The result of the fight between the two must be very difficult for Kaku to accept. The result is, I lost. Although it was an initial confrontation, it was just a mutual temptation. In addition, at that time, I was not fully prepared for the battle. Anyway, even if all factors are left aside, I'm still a complete loser. Even if I think about it now, even if God can give me another chance to fight him again, I don't think I can stop that guy. And the scariest thing is, I was met by him, and I was killed on the spot. None of you heard me wrong. The first time I fought against that guy, I was instantly killed. Kaku opened his mouth, his throat was dry. He told the truth about what happened just now, and he didn't choose to hide it, let alone deliberately modify these things that had happened. Advertisement Chapter 85. A Marine boss comes to the capital of Seven Waters. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. As Kaku's voice just fell, the atmosphere suddenly became weird. Silence. Lu Chi's pupils shrank, and a look of deep suspicion appeared on his expressionless face. His eyes were fixed on Kaku, and his complexion began to become extraordinarily dignified and serious. What a joke. Kaku was killed in an instant. How can that be? Lucci knows Kaku's strength very well. He knows Kaku's strength and what level he can reach in the CP9 organization. It is precisely because of this. After listening to Kaku's words, Lucci only felt that his own calm mind was moved and deeply shaken. Even Lucci himself is not sure that he can instantly kill Kaku. Things I can't even do. How could anyone else do it? Still a Marine. What happened was too unbelievable. Lucci's mood also became extraordinarily heavy and depressing. The ominous premonition has been verified. And things were seriously out of control, making Lucci feel very tricky and troublesome. If what Kaku said is true, then the plan here in the capital of Seven Waters may really be disturbed by an unstable factor because of this. Aside, Khalifa's beautiful eyes were wide and round, and her pretty face was full of astonishment. She is even more shocking than Lucci. How strong is Kaku? It is one of the best in the CP9 organization, second only to Lucci. But such a strong Kaku would be instantly killed by someone. How is this possible? Khalifa's worldview is about to collapse. Did I hear you wrong? Khalifa's powdered lips moved slightly, her dignified and elegant face faded away. What did Kaku say? Was killed in seconds. In a one-on-one situation, being instantly killed by the opponent. This is too shocking to the world. Always as calm as Khalifa, 14's thoughts became extremely chaotic and it was difficult to calm down. With Kaku's strength, he was still instantly killed. She can't imagine. How powerful is the person opposite him? Grunt. Khalifa swallowed, and her original dignified and beautiful temperament disappeared in an instant. She lost her composure. Her calm and steady state of mind collapsed immediately. Kaku's words completely distorted and changed her mentality. We are both agents of CP9, and we have a very deep understanding of each other. Therefore, Khalifa is very clear that Kaku's level of strength can be said to be quite high in the sky. Never thought about it. As strong as Kaku, he would be instantly killed by someone. How could a monster of this level suddenly appear in the capital of Seven Waters? This made Khalifa suddenly feel that the plan they had planned for many years might have to undergo some changes. Are you sure you're not joking? Lucci looked at Kaku, his angular face shrouded in a gloomy shadow. If a monster of this level suddenly appeared in the capital of Seven Waters as Kaku said, it would definitely have a very serious impact on their plans. Unstable factors, too many things that can be changed. The plan they have planned for 5 or 6 years is very likely to be destroyed because of this. Number 2. Total crash. Of course I can't be joking about things like this. Kaku's face was very serious, and he spoke with a heavy heart. Could it be that you didn't make enough preparations to show such a result? And the opponent's strength is not as strong as you imagined. Khalifa suddenly intervened in the conversation. Advertisement. She still can't imagine how terrifying the strength of the person who killed Kaku instantly. Really, Lucci agreed with Khalifa's point of view. He also couldn't imagine that with Kaku's level of strength, how could he be instantly killed? Defeating Kaku and killing Kaku in seconds, these two rhetoric are two completely different concepts. Kaku was defeated, Lucci could express his understanding. But Kaku was instantly killed, which made Lucci unbelievable. Spike. The defeat that made Kaku helpless. How powerful is the person who can do this? Anyway, Lucci couldn't figure out how powerful the person who killed Kaku in seconds was. How does it compare with himself? Pressure. This moment. In Lucci's heart, there was a very forceful pressure. Compared with the existence of Kaku who can kill Kaku in seconds, which one is stronger and weaker? Lucci was at a loss for a moment. As confident as Lucci, but when faced with Kaku's rhetoric, he has built up a very deep fear of a mysterious and powerful marine in his heart. There are many key factors that dominate the outcome of a confrontation. It may have been careless. It may be that you underestimate the enemy, or you are not fully prepared, etc. Kaku, it must be because you were in poor condition at the time. Khalifa continued on. This reason seemed to be an excuse for her inner self-comfort. No, you can't understand how I felt at that time. Kaku shook his head, took a deep breath, and said earnestly, even if I was given enough time to prepare, I couldn't be that guy's opponent. The sense of oppression he gave me is too strong. Even if we don't mention it for now, I was killed by him in seconds. The ability possessed by this guy is enough to explain how terrifying he is. You must never have dreamed of what I saw on him. Finished. Kaku rolled his throat, swallowed, and the horror in his eyes gradually emerged. He will never forget it in his life. The horrible scene that just happened. It happened right in front of his eyes. Impressive, incomparably deep. So far, it seems to be vivid. That is to say, besides being very powerful, he also has other terrifying means. Lucci frowned tightly, and the fear in his heart became more and more intense. The way to make Kaku lose his composure like this is definitely not too ordinary. Right. Kaku nodded heavily. What means? Khalifa tentatively asked. In a split second. A terrifying method to instantly kill hundreds of people. Just a split second. Number 1 shipyard. 300 or 400 shipbuilders. All of them fell down at the same time and passed out, unconscious. Except for me and Barry, no one was spared. Can you imagine? The scene where hundreds of people all fell down in an instant. When I think about that scene now, I feel my scalp numb and my hair stand on end. I never expected that. This extremely rare and terrifying ability, I actually saw it here in the capital of Seven Waters. Moreover, it happened before my eyes, let me witness it with my own eyes. This is the so-called terrifying innate potential of one person among a million people. It is also known as the innate talent of the king's potential, which can only be possessed by those born with it. But I saw this terrible talent potential from that guy. At that moment, an invisible force swept across the number 1 shipyard. The vast majority of people were unable to maintain a clear consciousness under the influence of this terrifying force. Having said that, Kaku's expression became more and more terrifying. Everyone is down. It may be less than a second before and after. Hundreds of people, none of them were physically injured. But they were all weird, their consciousness was shattered, and they fainted and fell unconscious on the spot. What happened at the number 1 shipyard obviously had a very deep visual impact on Kaku, making it difficult for him to calm down so far. Hundreds of people fell down in an instant. Such terrible things happened right in front of our eyes. Advertisement. Kaku's mood will be shocked, and it is normal and understandable that it is difficult to calm down now. It was the first time he had witnessed such a horrific event. This. Khalifa was completely stunned. Her pretty face became a little pale, and her beautiful eyes were filled with a bit of panic. Although it was hard for her to imagine the situation Kaku was facing at that time, she could already imagine that shocking picture following Kaku's description. The terrorist method you mentioned, could it be? Lu Chi's eyes were filled with fear. He seemed to think of something. Before his words fell, he was directly interrupted by Kaku. Yes, you guessed it right. This kind of terrorist method is the legendary Conqueror's Haki. Yes, you heard me right. I met a freak who can master Conqueror's Haki proficiently here in the capital of 7 waters. It's this monster who killed me in an instant. If it wasn't for my body being stiff at that time, so I didn't make too aggressive movements, I might have died under his blade long ago. Conquerors. Of course I never imagined that one day I would witness with my own eyes the deterrent effect of the release of Conqueror's Haki. As soon as it fell, a large piece fell. The atmosphere returned to silence again. Kaku's words undoubtedly deeply stimulated Lu Chi's psychological defense. Conquerors. It is said that in a million people, only one person has the talent of a king. And the guy who has mastered such a terrible method will appear in this ghostly place, the capital of 7 waters. Lu Chi was shocked. Wave after wave of emotional turmoil, like surging ocean waves, beat at his heart, making it difficult for him to calm down and recover. The news brought by Kaku undoubtedly became the biggest thorn in Lu Chi's heart. Lu Chi, who has always been cautious and likes to be fully prepared before taking action, felt an endless sense of crisis, lingering around his body. The unstable factor of 403 is really too big. After planning the plan for 5 or 6 years, he was suddenly told that there was an alien of this level intervening in it. How could Lu Chi calm down? What are you talking about? What Conqueror's Haki? Khalifa was still full of confused thoughts. In Marine, when did a monster of this level appear? Lu Chi forcibly suppressed the throbbing in his heart, and looked at Kaku. In the news sent to them by the CP organization, no similar news has ever been conveyed. There are very few people who can master Conquerors. Especially in Marine, there are only a handful of them. And each of them is a well-known boss in Marine. If there are big shots of this level who come to the capital of 7 waters, their CP organization should not have received any rumors in advance. With CP's intelligence gathering capabilities, events big and small in the sea, it is impossible to escape the eyes and ears of the agents scattered all over the CP organization. Not to mention, mastering a Marine boss like Conqueror's Haki. Not only the CP organization can easily inquire about their movements, but even some pirates in the sea can easily inquire about the whereabouts of these big shots. But now, their CP9 did not receive the news that this kind of boss came to the capital of 7 waters in advance. FFLX. What part is wrong here? Lu Chi couldn't understand. No, I think you may have misunderstood. Looking at Lu Chi's expression, Kaku knew what Lu Chi was thinking in his heart. Immediately, Kaku shook his head and corrected Lu Chi's wrong thoughts in time. This monster who controls Conqueror's Haki is not any Marine boss that we know well. On the contrary, in your life, even if you want to break your head, you may not be able to guess. This Marine who has mastered the Conqueror's Haki, just who the hell is he? If you don't witness it with your own eyes, and truly experience it yourself. Even I'm afraid I can't even imagine what is happening before my eyes today. While he was gradually stating, in Kaku's mind, a young figure with a samurai sword appeared involuntarily. Although young, but it gave Kaku an endless sense of oppression, so that whenever Kaku recalled this young figure, he couldn't help but feel deeply depressed and throbbing. That young fellow is simply inhuman. Is a monster. A truly terrifying monster. Advertisement Chapter 86. Not a Marine boss, but a 7-year-old. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Seeing Kaku showing such palpitations and frightened expressions, both Lu Chi and Khalifa beside him couldn't help but fall silent. They really couldn't imagine what Kaku had gone through. So that, the calm mentality honed by Kaku's years of spy training is facing the verge of collapse at this moment. Not the Marine boss we know. Could it be? Is it the latest newcomer from Marine? But I have never received news that Marine has recently emerged such a terrifying newcomer who has awakened the Conqueror's Haki and can freely grasp and use it. Lu Chi's tone was low. I haven't heard of it, so when I really saw him today, my thinking was rigid. My worldview was even subverted by his existence. Can you believe it? That one face-to-face will kill my Marine in seconds. A Marine who possesses Conqueror's talent potential and can freely use Conqueror's Haki. He is, in fact, a little boy of 7. I'm not wrong, and you didn't hear me wrong. That Marine, who is as strong as a monster, is only 7 years old. Kaku's throat was dry, and he said all the words he wanted to say in a shocking tone. The words fell. The atmosphere is getting weird. Silence. Dead silence. Lu Chi was shocked. Khalifa was stunned. Her pair of beautiful eyes are wide and round, and the pupils are filled with a thick color of horror. Incredible. What did Kaku say just now? How can that be? Even Lu Chi's calm state of mind could not help being overturned by Kaku's words. His calm thinking, the hammer brewed by Kaku's words, hit him hard on the forehead, making his thinking messy. It's fine if it's not a certain Marine boss. As a result, you told me. Second-year Marine, Marine with conquerors. He turned out to be a 7-year-old child. Lu Chi's mood set off a huge wave, and waves of emotions rolled over and over again, which could not be calmed down. Is it possible? He didn't doubt Kaku's behavior. He just wanted to doubt what Kaku said. There is no other reason. These words are really too unbelievable. A child who is only 7 years old is pregnant with conquerors. Moreover, is it the kind that dogs are free to master and use? The key is, Kaku is such a 7-year-old child, just one face-to-face in seconds. All of this overturns cognition. As Kaku said, Lu Chi's worldview was indeed overturned, and he was even trampled on the ground, and was constantly torn apart. With Kaku's words, the previous cognitive view directly ushered in the collapse. Years of spy training endowed Lu Chi with a very calm personality. But all of these are completely destroyed at this moment. 7 years old, spike card library, with conquerors. Where did this freak come from? Lu Chi couldn't help recalling. Back then, when he joined CP9 when he was young, with the best attitude, he became the best agent of CP9 in the past 800 years, blessed with countless honors. But all of this, how can it be compared with the 7-year-old kid Kaku said? Then all the glory of Lu Chi will be reduced to nothing, vanished, vulnerable to a single blow. Killing Kaku at the age of 7. Advertisement. Chi didn't think that at the age of 7, he could do this unimaginable feat. The gap is really too big. The first time, Lu Chi deeply felt that his own talent didn't seem to be so outstanding. On the contrary, in contrast, it seemed extraordinarily mediocre, ordinary, and without bright spots. My god, Kaku, do you know what you're talking about? Khalifa looked at Kaku in a daze. Her psychological endurance has already collapsed on the spot. The 7-year-old child beat Kaku in seconds. God. Can anyone explain? Is this true or false? She wanted to suspect that it must be fake. But things, from Kaku's mouth, the possibility of false news can be said to be very low. But, this thing is really too scary. It made Khalifa unable to accept it at all. Of course I know what I'm talking about. I was a 7-year-old child, and I fell in seconds as soon as I met him. Can you imagine? What level of monster is this? At only 7 years old, his strength is strong enough to instantly kill me. Anyway, I dare not imagine such a terrible thing in my life. Even when it really happened in front of me and let me experience it personally, I still feel deeply like a dream, and I always feel that what happened just now is illusory and false. Kaku exhaled heavily, as if he had found a companion to talk and vent. God knows how uncomfortable it was for him to hold back these words. It's good now. Finally, he was able to find a companion and pour out all these words. So, Kaku successfully found the partner who fell into the collapse of the worldview with him. These words undoubtedly shattered the worldview of Lu Chi and Khalifa. It's incredible. It's too shocking to the world. It takes half an hour. Lu Chi, Khalifa and the others still couldn't calm down the shock. A 7-year-old Marine, with conquerors, returned to the freedom to master the application. Also, it's still done. One face-to-face easily kills Kaku in seconds. Let Kaku have no power to fight back. This kind of thing used to only exist in Lu Chi's imagination. One day, things like dreams and fantasies will come true. Kaku, isn't this really your hallucination? Khalifa asked again with a trembling voice. Still, she said it was hard to accept. What do you think? Kaku looked serious. Then, what shall we do now? Khalifa's pink lips twitched slightly, feeling a little confused for a while, and immediately asked, this kind of monster has come to the capital of 7 waters, maybe it will really seriously affect the implementation of our plan. Could it be? We can only let this extremely unstable factor exist, but we can't do anything to get him. What if our plan really collapses because of him? Haven't our 5 or 6 years of hard work come to naught? Think about it. Khalifa shuddered. 5 or 6 years of hard work. Is it really going to be scrapped because of this? Immediately. Advertisement. Both Lu Chi and Kaku were silent, without saying a word. Khalifa's problem is the biggest problem they are currently facing. How to correctly deal with this extremely unstable factor. This is a problem that they must consider and deal with. If they don't deal with it, whether this unstable factor will seriously interfere with their plan as scheduled, they don't know. As agents, they have always had the habit of doing a good job in the plan, and then eliminating any unstable factors to ensure that the plan can be carried out 100%. But suddenly, if an unstable factor is discovered, they naturally need to treat it very carefully. Only, this unstable factor may be very fishy in terms of strength. Otherwise, it would be impossible to instantly kill Kaku in one face-to-face. If they really want to eliminate this unstable factor in advance, then they must carefully make corresponding preparations. Any factor that hinders the plan from being carried out as scheduled, and is very likely to interfere with the implementation of the plan. We must kill it. 5 or 6 years of lurking and planning. I will never tolerate any factor destroying our plan. After suppressing the shock in his heart, Lucci spoke in a cold tone. 5 or 6 years of planning, how can people destroy and influence it? I agree too. Kaku suppressed the fear and throbbing in his heart, and after pondering for a moment, he said, how do we deal with this terrifying monster? If you can meet him face to face, you can kill him in seconds. The other party is definitely not someone who is waiting for you. Look at all the staff dispatched. Ambush, ambush. Lucci narrowed his eyes slightly, flashing a cold light. From his body, exudes a holy air. Both Kaku and Khalifa felt the temperature of the surrounding air plummeted, becoming a bit icy cold, and the cold made their hairs stand on end. Call Bluno and the others immediately, let them all gather. Presumably, in the case of all of us mobilizing, if we want to eradicate this unstable factor in advance, the success rate is still quite high. Lucci calmly began to give orders. Clear. The streets of the capital of 7 Waters are very prosperous. People come and go, and it is very lively. Pedestrians of different colors, wearing different clothes and collocations, come from different islands in the sea, and gather in the bustling sea city, the capital of 7 Waters. The most unique buildings in the capital of 7 Waters are the waterways on both sides of the street. Wang's water flows continuously, flowing down from a high place. Therefore, most businessmen have smelled business opportunities from here. They captured some water monsters and put sailboats on the waterway. The sailboats can carry tourists, so that many tourists can travel in many streets of the capital of 7 Waters very quickly. Everywhere, the figure of the water monster on the waterway, carrying pedestrians and passengers, quickly passing through the water. Crash. The sea water splashed and scattered on the streets on both sides, attracting many pedestrians to look sideways. Do not know why. Just walking in this bustling and lively street, Layfon suddenly felt strangely, there was a cold breath on his back, which was always lingering and could not dissipate. 5 hash. The feeling of being stared at secretly, like sitting on pins and needles. Is this my illusion? Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. However, my perception has always been very sharp. The possibility of being an illusion is not high beam. So, myself, has someone been following me? Think about it. The smile on Layfon's face seemed intriguing, and his footsteps also became slower, deliberately reducing the frequency and span of his footsteps. Really interesting. Not long after I came to the capital of 7 Waters, I was targeted so quickly. I'm curious. These people who followed me all the way, who are they? Advertisement Chapter 87 followed. CP9 finally appeared. Open black lens bracket, please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Crash. On the waterways on both sides of the street. The water monster drove past quickly with a sailboat on its back, and the splashing waves surged, and the water stains were scattered in the air, like crystal clear gems, falling from the sky and collapsing on the ground. People come and go, and it is very lively. The streets of the capital of 7 Waters are extraordinarily noisy. As a well-known sea city, the capital of 7 Waters naturally attracts many visitors from all walks of life. Tread, tread. The footsteps of people walking on the street are extremely loud and piercing. The sound of conversation spread in all directions, and various laughter filled the streets and alleys. It took me less than an hour at most to come to the capital of 7 Waters. You just came to 7 Waters for less than an hour, and you were targeted by someone. This is really strange. Layfon's eyes twinkled, and his mind began to think. Who is following him? This is an intriguing question. First, the first target to consider is Carrera. After all, just now Layfon made a big fuss in Carrera Company, which will alert Carrera Company, and it is normal to send people to investigate. But after thinking about it, Layfon quickly rejected this possibility. Carrera don't have the guts. Knowing that he is a member of Marine, so what if he made a big fuss in the shipyard? It is impossible for Carrera to send people to follow him. Obviously, this is setting fire to himself. The people of the Carrera Company can never be so stupid. Furthermore, Layfon's conquerors has been able to create a very strong deterrent to Carrera. Under such circumstances, as long as the people in the Carrera Company have brains, it is impossible to choose to take the initiative to provoke Layfon, who has a terrifying identity and a very powerful background. As the largest shipbuilding company in the capital of 7 Waters, it is absolutely impossible for Carrera to do such a stupid thing that would set fire to itself. Therefore, 480. It can be temporarily ruled out that the possibility that the person who followed him came from the Carrera Company. Bingshan, the director of the Carrera Company, is not a stupid person. As the head of the capital of 7 Waters, his means and abilities are extraordinary. If I were him, I would never take the initiative to provoke an unknown person with a mysterious background and terrifying strength. Layfon ruled out the first guess. So, besides Carrera, who else did he offend? Straw Hat Pirates. Really, this battle of Layfon really offended the Straw Hat Pirates severely, and made the latter group of people fall into despair. If it is another pirate group, Layfon can't judge yet, but if it is the Straw Hat Pirates, he can basically veto this guess directly. People from the Straw Hat Pirates would not do such sneaky things. Track. Non-existent. If it was the Straw Hat Pirates, they would definitely find Layfon in a fair way. Also, Layfon has also had a showdown with the Straw Hat Pirates, and they have no reason to send people to follow Layfon. To sum it up, and finally, a more important point. That is, Layfon, the fear and deterrence brought to the Straw Hat Pirates has definitely penetrated into the bones. In a short period of time, the members of the Straw Hat Pirates wanted to stay far away from Layfon, so how could they take the initiative to send people to follow them, taking such a big risk to offend an existence of Layfon's level? Exclude the above two. There is only one last possibility left. Layfon smiled playfully. If he was alone, Layfon would still think that it might be a newcomer, and some local snakes in the capital of Seven Waters have been eyeing him. But don't forget, Layfon is not alone in this busy street. Behind Layfon, there have always been Kebalumeber. And what kind of clothes are Kebi and Barumeber wearing? Advertisement. That's Marine's uniform. Even if the local gangsters in the capital of Seven Waters are extremely courageous, they would never have the courage to use their brains on people wearing Marine uniforms. There is no exception for local snakes anywhere. So, this possibility can basically be ruled out by Layfon without too much consideration. Choose to take the initiative to provoke Marine. Except for some extreme personalities, there are basically no normal people. And the number of people with such extreme personalities is very rare. It can almost be said that there are only 1 or 2 out of tens of millions. Layfon didn't think he would be so unlucky that he just happened to meet these extremely rare people. It takes less than an hour to come to the Seven Waters. The multi-party forces I encountered, in addition to the Carrera Corporation and the Straw Hat Pirates. In fact, I have also come into contact with third-party forces. Moreover, I also had some small conflicts with this third-party force. Although the conflicts are not too big, they can be regarded as real encounters. Exclude the Carrera Corporation and the Straw Hat Pirates. The last guess is the most likely. Layfon's footsteps are getting slower and slower. Who is this third-party force? No doubt. #BT. CP organization. Could it be them? Layfon began to wonder. The possibility is very high. The Carrera Corporation didn't follow Layfon's guts, and neither did the Straw Hat Pirates. However, if it is a CP organization, then it is another matter. Of course, there is no direct conflict of interests between Layfon and the CP organization, nor any conflicts. This confuses Layfon. Why did the people in the CP organization send people to track themselves? Want to get revenge on me? Layfon's eyelids twitched, and he thought about how he easily killed Kaku in a single encounter just now. But he still didn't really make a move after all. But I have to say that at that time, he really wanted to kill Kaku. If there is a change in the card library, Layfon does not mind obliterating the card library. Kaku was very smart, and he didn't act rashly, but directly admitted his counsel. The CP organization is an organization of espionage agents. It is mainly responsible for breaking into the interior of various power groups and carrying out various tasks secretly, and will not be exposed to the public. Of course they can't take revenge on me for someone. Don't say I didn't kill Kaku, even if I did. Based on my knowledge of the CP organization, it's unlikely that they will avenge Kaku. Big. Then here comes the question. If it was someone from the CP organization, why would they target me? And they also launched a series of follow-up activities on me. Layfon thought carefully, but he still couldn't figure it out. Why do people from the CP organization stare at themselves? I can't think of an accurate guess, let alone analyze a correct direction. FFLX. CP organization, is this a declaration of war against me? A declaration of war for no reason. Layfon thought strangely. Although I am not an official Marine yet, I have hooked up with Marine anyway. But even so, the CP organization still dares to send people to follow him so blatantly. Isn't this the rhythm of declaring war? Mr. Layfon, what's the matter with you? Kebi noticed Layfon's strange behavior and couldn't help asking in a low voice. It's nothing, I suddenly remembered something important. You two, return to the warship first, and I will deal with some things alone. With a thought in his mind, Layfon bluntly said to transfer Kebi and Barumeber. With these two guys, many things can't be done. Besides, if the CP organization really wants to declare war on itself, then, the existence of Kebi and Belumbo will undoubtedly become a burden, making Layfon himself somewhat unable to perform. Advertisement. If these two people are separated, Layfon will not need to worry too much. If it was only the CP organization of the capital of Seven Waters, Layfon would naturally not have any fear and timidity. On the contrary, he is looking forward to it. What is the level of the CP organization here in the capital of Seven Waters? I hope that the strength level of the members of the CP organization who follow you should not be too bad. Otherwise, it would be very boring. Mr. Layfon, what is this? Kirby was a little unexpected. Don't ask too much, I won't tell you if you ask. Layfon said with a smile. Kirby, let's go then. Barumeber twitched Kebi from the sidelines. Mr. Layfon, let's go then. Kebi hesitated for a moment, then turned and left with Belumbo. The two gradually drifted away, and the back gradually disappeared from Layfon's eyes. Until you leave completely. In situ. Layfon looked away, his face full of emotions. Finally, I got rid of these two guys. Next, let me see which one from the CP organization has been following me as a follower. Now, Layfon is basically certain. Those who follow me are the people of the CP organization. But who exactly? This, Layfon advanced and unpredictable. The CP organization is good at tracking too many people, and Layfon can't accurately judge who has been following and hiding behind him. But, next, who is the other party? The answer will be revealed soon. It looks like I got a quiet place. Otherwise, I'm afraid they won't show up so easily. Layfon scanned his surroundings. Not long. He found a relatively spacious alley, but it looked very deserted. Stepping forward, Layfon walked steadily, step by step, into the slightly dark and spacious alley, where there were hardly any people walking around. The alley is dark, but it is spacious. The width of the walls on both sides is no less than 6 meters. Can be heard occasionally. The water stains leaking from the rusty water pipes inlaid on both sides of the wall slowly overflowed and condensed outside the water pipes, and finally fell slowly from a high altitude, hitting the floor tiles under your feet. Tick, tick. In the cold and spacious alley, the feet look a little muddy, covered with water stains, piled up in pools of water stains, scattered in different corners. The air is also full of humidity. There is not too hot sunlight here, so it is impossible to volatilize the many water stains accumulated here, which makes the accumulation of water stains a long time, and emits a faint smell. What a great venue. Layfon walked to the depths of the alley and stopped slowly. Turn around. The smile on his face was meaningful. Looking at the dark corner of the alley behind, he said slowly, "You still haven't come out. Is it possible? Do you really want me to invite you out in person? In this spacious environment." Layfon's voice floated into the distance, and some echoes lingered. It took a few seconds for the sound to completely dissipate. Instantly, as if to verify Layfon's guess. Tread. Footsteps sounded so abruptly. In the quiet and deserted environment, the sound of footsteps was particularly ear-piercing. Then, right under Layfon's gaze, a tall and thin figure in a black suit walked out step by step from the corner of the dark alley. Advertisement Chapter 88. I am very honored to have all members of CP9 mobilized. Open black lens bracket. Please customize close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Dark alley. It is sparsely populated and looks very deserted. On the corners of the walls on both sides, puddles of water stains have accumulated. There is no sunlight, and the water stains under the feet cannot evaporate. Gradually, it stopped abruptly with the sound of footsteps. The towering walls on both sides, the occasional faint halo of light, the clothes and appearance of the future comers, etc., are all presented in Lei Chong's eyes. This is a young man with a thin figure and sharp features. He wears a black dress hat and a black suit, and his figure is tall and straight. On his shoulder stood a white dove, very eye-catching. The atmosphere became extraordinarily quiet. Dead silence. Seeing this visitor, Layfon's eyes flashed, and the smile on his face became more and more meaningful. Very surprised. Really, he couldn't think of it. People from the CP organization actually sent this guy to follow him. This fact surprised Layfon a bit. The CP organization is willing to send this guy to follow me. What a waste of money. Originally, I couldn't accurately judge whether the people from the CP organization would formally declare war on me. But seeing this person who appeared in front of my eyes, I was basically sure. If it wasn't for the purpose of declaring war on me, how could they send the core of the CP9 organization to track me? Layfon looked at the young man in black suit with a smile. The young man in front of me is naturally Rob Lucci, the spiritual core of the CP9 organization. Compared to Spandam, the nominal chief of CP9, Rob Lucci is more like a qualified leader, able to make the rest of the CP9 agents absolutely obey orders unconditionally. Never expected. The CP9 organization actually sent Rob Lucci to follow him. This, beyond Layfon's original expectations. The other one is a little guy. I didn't expect a boss-level character to appear all at once. A faint ray of sunlight swayed down through the dilapidated walls on both sides, and imprinted on Lucci's figure, causing his body to exude a strong coercion, which was unparalleled and swept all directions. The atmosphere is depressing. A battle seems to be on the verge of breaking out at any time. When did your CP organization dare to openly declare war on a Marine? Are you really not afraid of causing conflicts between the two organizations to worsen? Layfon smiled playfully and looked at Lu Yi quietly. He wasn't too nervous or apprehensive. Even knowing that the person in front of him is the most powerful CP9 in the past 800 years, Layfon's mood is not timid or flustered. Where the hell are you? Lucci stared at Layfon with both eyes, without any slack or carelessness. Of course he does. The Layfon in front of me is a terrifying existence with a very high risk factor. A monster that can easily do it and instantly kill Kaku in one face-to-face. When seeing Layfon, Lucci almost wondered if he was wrong. Too young. Although he had already learned from Kaku that the opponent this time was a child who was only 7 years old, Lucci couldn't help being deeply shocked when he saw Layfon's face. It really looks like a 7-year-old figure. It's just such a 7-year-old kid who beat Kaku in seconds. Conquerors that only one person in a million has. All of this made Lucci unimaginable. It subverts cognition. Originally, Lucci had already been mentally prepared, but when he really faced this monster, his heart couldn't help but beat deeply. 7 years old. I'm pregnant with conquerors. A face-to-face, instantly kill Kaku. How strong is Kaku? This point, Lucci, who has been Kaku's partner and colleague for many years, of course understands it clearly in his heart. That's why, when standing in front of Layfon, Lucci's mood will be so shocking. This kind of monster actually came from Marine. Why did their CP organization have no news about all this before? So far, Lucci can't figure it out. It stands to reason. Advertisement. There was such a terrifying monster in Marine, it was impossible not to reveal any news about it. But in fact, Lucci was unable to find out any news about this monster from the intelligence network of the CP organization, and there was no news at all. More like, this guy is not a member of Marine at all. Who I am. Then allow me to introduce myself first. Below, Layfon. With a smile on his face, Layfon looked at Lu Chi, who was tense in front of him with great interest. Say something. The rumored Lu Chi, who was known as the strongest CP9 in the past 800 years, has always been arrogant and defiant. But why is it completely different from what I see today? Right now, Lu Chi doesn't seem to be arrogant at all. Instead, seeing Lu Chi gave Layfon a feeling in his heart that Lu Chi in front of him was in a state of high tension, nervousness, restraint, and seriousness. Arrogant. No one in sight. Invincible. Layfon couldn't capture these gestures from the expressions on Lu Chi's face at all. Who said that Lu Chi is very arrogant? This is completely different from what I saw. Layfon thought strangely. A chilling air emerged spontaneously, lingering and reverberating in this empty and spacious alley. Mr. Layfon, as the Supreme Commander of the CP9 organization, I give you an order. Please leave the capital of Seven Waters immediately. Lu Chi stared at Layfon with both eyes, and his voice was emotionless. If he could, he didn't want to fight Layfon in front of him. Because, he is not absolutely sure that he can knock down the opponent. Just thought of, Layfon could easily do it, killing Kaku in a single face-to-face feat. The pressure in Lu Chi's heart was infinitely magnified, and the heavy oppression was on his heart, making him dare not act rashly. Therefore, Lu Chi's first thought was to expel Layfon from the capital of Seven Waters by peaceful means. In this way, it can be ensured that the plan for 5 or 6 years will not have any accidents and mistakes, let alone be disturbed by unstable factors. The identity of the Supreme Commander of the CP9 organization. Give me orders. Then you are really a great official. I've never heard that people from the CP organization can even order people from the Marine side. Your hand is too long. Across an organization, to give orders to me, I have to say, are you joking? Layfon couldn't help laughing. The CP organization and Marine have the same identity, and there is no possibility of mutual order. With Layfon's voice down, it can be clearly felt. The murderous intent in Lu Chi's pupils, almost staring at him, turned into a substantial one. This murderous intent was released from his body, and quickly spread and wandered in all directions. The air temperature seemed to plummet. Get chilly. Intent to kill. Feeling the killing intent spread, Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. Things seem to be getting interesting. I finally understand now. Why do people from your CP organization suddenly come to follow me? Emotion. My existence has seriously threatened the smooth implementation of your plan. This is what makes you want to get rid of me as an unstable factor. In this way, you can be 100% sure that the plan you have planned for many years can be carried out as scheduled, and there will be no accidents because of me. Layfon finally came to his senses. Why for no reason, people from the CP9 organization will take the initiative to follow themselves. Turn out to be, they are afraid of their own existence, threatening the implementation of their plan. Asking for flowers. Advertisement. This moment. Layfon figured it out. It has to be said that this contradiction is too dramatic. It's not because I offended the CP organization, but purely because of my strength, which seriously threatens the plan of the CP organization. Therefore, they cannot tolerate my continued stay in the capital of Seven Waters. This reason is really far-fetched. But if it is CP who organizes these extreme agents, they will have such an idea to ensure that the plan can be implemented 100% and nothing will happen, which is quite normal. The agents of the CP organization carry out the only purpose in their hearts, which is to 100% ensure that the tasks and plans can be carried out perfectly as scheduled. And I, at this moment, have become the biggest obstacle in their CP organization plan. Layfon shook his head with a grin. Unexpected. It was such an absurd reason that he was being targeted by people from the CP organization. Emotion. I am strong, but there is a big sin. If he was weaker and unable to pose a certain threat to the CP organization, then such absurd things being targeted by the CP organization today would not happen. That is, the stronger my strength, the greater my crime. The higher the possibility of being targeted by the CP organization. The people in the CP organization are really domineering. At this time, Layfon has a deep understanding of the behavior style of the CP organization. The reason why he was targeted turned out to be because his strength was too strong. Is it a sin to be stronger? If Mr. Layfon is unwilling to leave the capital of Seven Waters easily, then today, I can only ask you to leave in person. Lu Chi's eyes were full of killing intent, and he glanced lightly at Layfon. Don't say that I haven't fully joined the Marine, even if I did join the Marine. Your so-called CP organization can't possibly rule over me. You are far from having the authority to order me. Layfon chuckled. Didn't join the Marine. Lu Chi's eyelids twitched. He also suddenly understood many things. I see. Why didn't I collect any news about Layfon in front of me? It turns out that the other party has not officially joined Marine yet. It would have been easier without Marine. I was a little worried before that the matter of Marine's shooting would seriously arouse the dissatisfaction of Marine's senior management. But now, I don't need to worry about these things. So you're not Marine. Lu Chi showed a stern smile. Suddenly, Layfon's ears twitched, his eyes flickered, and he glanced strangely at the left and right sides of him, the dark alley that ran through the intersection. Keep getting closer. And it's very stealthy. Obviously, each of these people is absolutely specially trained. If not, they would not be able to do it. The lurking movements are so subtle that even Layfon can't even detect them. If it weren't for Layfon's very keen perception, he would almost not be able to spot a few people. Yes, not one or two, but several near Layfon. This moment. Layfon felt it very accurately. So, the CP9 organization is not just dispatching one person to deal with me. Turned. Layfon's expression was thought-provoking, and he looked at Lucci, who was expressionless in front of him. You really think highly of me. One time, naturally let all the members of the CP9 organization be dispatched. Just to deal with me alone. I have to say, I am really honored for this. At the age of 7, I was treated so solemnly by your CP9 organization. Thinking about it, this special treatment should be called. In the past 100 years, this is the only special case. Advertisement Chapter 89. You don't even know how strong I am. Open black lens bracket 1/8 for customization. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Did you find it? Lucci frowned, noticing Layfon's change just now. Really, this guy is a troublesome and ruthless character. The Kaku's monster can be killed in seconds if you can meet him face to face. Aren't you going to let them out? Layfon spoke with a smile. The voice is loud, and in this quiet environment, wandering far away, there are still some echoes remaining, which are completely dissipated after a long time. No need to hide, come out. Lucci had no expression on his face, and the corners of his mouth moved slightly. The words fell, visible to the naked eye. From the corners of the dark alleys, people in black suits stepped out step by step, with steady steps and serious faces. The first thing that appeared in Layfon's eyes was the familiar Kaku. Kaku, who was instantly killed by him. Just a while ago, we met again, what a fate. Layfon looked at Kaku with a playful smile on his face. Hearing this, Kaku's heart tightened, his face became vigilant, his spirit was tense, and he didn't dare to relax or be careless, let alone respond to Layfon's words. Layfon's horror had already impressed him deeply. A mighty monster. Here, 010, is the label Kaku put on Layfon. After Kaku walked out, behind him, a tall, dignified and elegant beauty with glasses walked out, with long hair reaching her waist and a delicate face. It's Khalifa. There are also, such as Bura, Bluno, Andromache, and Blind Fukuro. Including Lucci, people from the CP9 organization are all here. Except for Spandam, the nominal commander of CP9, who did not appear here, all other members of CP9 have gathered in this dark alley. 7 people in total, each one, Grandmaster's ability to assassinate, fight and many other aspects. Each of them is an excellent agent trained by the CP organization, the best of the best. And today, in order to deal with Layfon, all members of CP9 are dispatched. This battle, I have to say, is really very rare. The rarest of all is that the culprit who sent them all out turned out to be a 7-year-old child. But such a 7-year-old child is enough to make all of them look solemn, and they dare not deal with it with any lax or careless emotions. It can be said that Layfon alone is enough to create a sense of oppression for all CP9 members present. It's all here. Seeing a group of CP9 agents standing in front of him, Layfon became emotional, and the smile on his face became brighter, without any anxiety or panic. Instead, the interest in Layfon's heart is getting stronger and stronger. All members of CP9 are dispatched. Isn't this a very challenging thing? At least, that is the case for Layfon. As for whether CP9 will pose a threat to itself, non-existent. In the capital of 7 Waters, there is no opponent that Layfon feels invincible. Just like the Straw Hat Pirates, didn't they just get given to Layfon? Even if it is the CP9 organization, so what? I'm also trying to figure out what level the overall strength of the CP9 organization in the capital of 7 Waters can reach on average. Layfon looked expectant. Gradually, all members of CP9 gathered beside Lucci. Advertisement. 7 people in total. Even the woman Khalifa is involved in this battle that is about to explode. It can be seen from this. The CP9 organization attaches great importance to Layfon. If it weren't for this attention, CP9 would not be able to mobilize all members. Don't underestimate the enemy, he is very strong, very strong. Kaku issued a warning with a heavy face. At present, he is the only one who has fought against Layfon, and only he has the qualifications to evaluate the level of Layfon's strength in front of him. Powerful, very strong. This is the first time in Kaku's life that he encountered such a powerful monster. The scary thing is that the other party is only 7 years old. What kind of concept is this? Anyway, this is the first time in Kaku's life that he encountered a monster of this level. He was only 7 years old, but he killed himself instantly in terms of strength. How many years of tempering did I have to go through to reach this level today? Over 10 years. Began to experience inhuman tempering since childhood. It's torture. Life and death training. Climbing out of the corpses of countless agents, Kaku finally became an excellent and qualified agent of CP9. How much time and cost did it take for Kaku to have the strength he has today? Back then, he wandered from the life and death training, and experienced the torture of life and death every day. After going through so much, Kaku's strength is at today's level. Never thought about it, to be met by a 7-year-old child in seconds. This naturally caused Kaku's mentality to collapse a bit. Emotion. I have worked hard for more than 10 years, why is it not as good as others have spent a few years of training? Who can resist this? Kaku, could it be because you are too careless? Actually, he is not as strong as you said. Jabra frowned and spoke slowly. He has always been conceited and arrogant, and he is deeply confident in his own strength. Therefore, just thought of, a 7-year-old child can kill Kaku in seconds, and he immediately vetoed this incredible thing. This is absolutely impossible. You can try it yourself. Kaku didn't explain too much, and his tone seemed a little weird. Do not impulse. Lu Chi spoke calmly. Words just fell. Jabra didn't dare to question too much. Lu Chi's majesty is naturally one of the best in the CP9 organization, and no one dares to disobey Lu Chi's will. Otherwise, Lu Chi cannot become the most important core of CP9. Mr. Layfon. Lu Chi looked at Layfon solemnly again, and his tone was full of warning. Are you really doubting whether to leave the capital of Seven Waters? We don't want to have a conflict with you. If you can leave, both of us will naturally live in peace. However, if you insist on this, then we will have no choice but to resort to force. To be frank, Lu Chi is not absolutely 100% sure that he can win Layfon. If you can let the other party leave the capital of Seven Waters, it is undoubtedly the best way. Then just get rough. The CP9 organization is not vegetarian either. With all the members mobilized, Lu Chi didn't think that they still couldn't do anything to the Layfon in front of them. You talk too much. Advertisement. Let me have a good look at how your CP9's overall strength is. I can't wait. I want to feel what it's like to play against you CP9. Layfon was smiling. Slowly, he took out a samurai sword from his waist. The faint sunlight sprinkled from the sky, imprinted on the sharp blade, flickering coldly. A faint smell of blood spread from the knife-cut hair in all directions. Not simple. Lu Chi, who has always been sensitive to the smell of blood, immediately smelled the faint smell of blood, and his eyes became more serious and dignified. The knife in this child's hand has killed many people. Otherwise, it would be impossible for it to emit this bloody smell as soon as it was taken out. Although it is very faint, it can never be ignored. Since this is the case, today, I can only let you stay in the capital of Seven Waters forever. Lu Chi's eyes flickered with murderous intent, and his voice came out of his mouth coldly. Dispersion. Next second, Lu Chi gave the order. At the same time, Kaku, Jabra and others who were close to Lu Chi spread out one after another, approaching step by step towards the place where Layfon was. Moment. All members of CP9 have completely surrounded Layfon in the central area. 7 people, led by Lu Chi, completely surrounded Layfon. The spirit of killing is born spontaneously. Twisted his arm. Layfon scanned around, surrounded by CP9 elites who were staring at him. The smile on his face disappeared, and the samurai sword in his hand flashed coldly. Let me stay in the capital of Seven Waters forever today. You are so confident. Layfon smiled playfully. Confidence is a good thing. However, excessive self-confidence is arrogance. Want to stay in the capital of Seven Waters forever? Don't talk about CP9. Even if it's CP9's boss, it's useless if someone from CPO comes. In short, Layfon is confident, with his current level of strength. Not to mention dealing with a CP9, even if 2 CPs add up, he may not feel timid. Forget it. Since 1.1 is here, it should always be remembered by you CP9. Let you guys get to know each other. There are people beyond people, and there is a sky beyond the sky. CP9. Actually, look at the sea, you are nothing. Even in front of me, you look pitifully weak. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. Lifting the samurai sword in his hand, a terrifying swordsman's edge was gradually released from his body, quickly spreading in all directions. Instantly, the monstrous edge that bloomed from Layfon's body completely enveloped Lu Chi and all CP9 members. The momentum is like a rainbow. Show your sharpness. Layfon's whole person seems to be the sharpest knife in the world. The sharp edge and oppressive momentum make people feel pressured. This moment, it was the first time for all members of CP9 to feel it so deeply. What they are facing today is a terrifying existence that is so powerful. In fact, you don't even know. How strong am I? The expression on Layfon's face became meaningful. Just right. 48. Take you CP9 people, let the knife in my hand see the blood, open the front. Advertisement Chapter 90 alone, fighting the entire CP9 alone. Open black lens bracket 2/8 for customization close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The terrifying sharp momentum swept across the sky. The dark and empty alley was completely enveloped by the terrifying momentum released by Layfon, and every corner was squeezed inch by inch. The ones who feel the most strongly are all members of CP9. Including Lu Chi, they were oppressed by the terrifying momentum released by Layfon. Good, so strong and oppressive. Khalifa's pink lips moved slightly, her pretty and dignified face was throbbing deeply. This aura made her feel irresistible and rebellious from the bottom of her heart. Kaku, I believe what you said just now. Jabra's throat was dry, and his eyes were full of horror, fixedly staring at Layfon in front of him. He expressed doubts about everything Kaku said before. After all, it was really hard for him to imagine that a 7-year-old kid could instantly kill a powerhouse of Kaku's level. Up until now, Jabra has maintained inner awareness. He also confidently believed that maybe it was only because of Kaku's carelessness and laxity that the enemy took advantage of him and showed the end of being instantly killed. But at this moment, feeling the majestic aura and coercion, and the monstrous sharpness sweeping over his body, Jabra realized how terrifying the 7-year-old monster that Kaku said was. Just feeling this momentum is enough to make Jabra's heart palpitate. Always proud and conceited, he stood in front of Layfon at this moment, but he didn't dare to have any thoughts of underestimating the enemy. So strong. All members of CP9 were moved. Their eyes were solemn and serious, and they couldn't move their eyes, always fixed on Layfon. It's just the momentum, but it makes them all feel the boundless and ubiquitous threat. Sitting on pins and needles. The hairs all stand on end. Don't underestimate this guy, otherwise, you will die ugly. 14 Lu Chi took a deep breath, slightly suppressing the heaviness in his heart. He poses like an enemy. Only by feeling the aura exuded by Layfon, can we deeply understand what a thorny and terrifying enemy Layfon is in front of us. Clear. Jabra and Kumadori nodded heavily. It's really strong. Kaku has a heavy heart. He stared at Layfon closely, and there was a rare look of fear on his face. As a CP9 excellent agent Kaku who was selected from tens of millions of agents, his psychological quality is naturally very good. But that's the case. Facing Layfon again, deep in Kaku's heart, the negative emotions of fear really arose. He cannot forget. It was a painful experience to be instantly killed by Layfon. This experience subverted Kaku's cognition, and he successfully made him enter a state of seriously doubting his own strength. More than 10 years of honing between life and death is not as good as others' cultivation results for several years. This strong contrast naturally makes it difficult for Kaku to accept all this. But, I'm not alone now, let's face this guy. It's all CP9 members dispatched. This time, writing. Kaku narrowed his eyes, clenched his fists, and suppressed all the negative emotions in his head. It will definitely work. All members of CP9 take action, besiege and kill a marine monster, there is no way to lose again. Tick, tick. The rusty water pipes beside the walls on both sides overflowed, seeped and flowed from the water pipes, accumulated along the way, and finally fell to the floor tiles. The crisp sound lingers in all directions. Make this dark alley even more gloomy. Originally, the air here was relatively humid, but with the slow flow of chilling air, the temperature of the air here dropped a lot. There was a slight breeze. Cold. The cold makes the hairs stand on end and goosebumps rise. Superior. Lu Chi made a move. He took the lead to charge forward and launched a strong attack on the place where Layfon was standing. Shave. The next moment, Lu Chi's body disappeared out of thin air on the spot. As an excellent agent of CP9, Marine 6 styles is of course an indispensable practical means. Whether it is Lu Chi, or Kaku, Jabra, they can master the Marine 6 styles very well, there is no doubt about it. Advertisement. Shoot. Kaku drank lightly. As Lu Chi made his shot, he also attacked Layfon. Tempest kick. Kaku swept across the front with one foot, extremely fast. Then the sound of breaking the air sounded. At the same time, a cyan gas was born, condensed from Kaku's right foot, and finally released from his right foot in a semicircular arc pointed forward. This cyan gas seemed to form a cyan slash, filled with violent and terrifying power, cutting through the air and sprinting in the direction of Layfon. Call out. The cyan slash briefly illuminated the dim surroundings. Superior. Jabra, Kumadori and others are dispatched together. All members of CP9 launched an attack on Layfon at the same time. A total of 7 people used different attack methods. Life returned, Kumadori thought. His long pink hair, as if a life was suddenly born, continued to extend, showing a plant like a vine, spreading rapidly. The pink hair swept across Layfon's direction quickly, trying to trap Layfon's body, and was constantly squeezing the space around Layfon. Everyone is dispatched. Well done. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. Kaku's slash had already arrived in front of him. Next second, with the katana in Layfon's hand, he lowered it lightly. The brewing power wrapped around the blade, and a purple slash began to twinkle around the blade, exuding an extremely violent and majestic aura. Cut. The moment when the blade swung down. Call out. The ferocious force that was brewing seemed to have found a breakthrough, and was forced out from the tip of the blade at a lightning speed. The purple slash rushed forward in a semicircular arc. Bright, dazzling, with the terrifying power to destroy everything in the world. As soon as the slash was released, a majestic aura and coercion was generated, covering this area. Vigorous as the surging waves. With an extremely terrifying breath of power. The cyan slash and the purple slash collided instantly. Boom. There was a loud bang. The two forces exploded, turning into countless violent air currents, and began to collide with each other. Buzz. The strong air current, carrying the force of tearing, is like a sharp blade, with the place where the two collide as the center point, floating in all directions. Wherever this air flow passed, even the floor tiles under his feet were cut with tiny gaps. The two forces crazily intertwined and collided. Finally, the purple slash directly tore apart the cyan slash. Aim at Kaku's body and smash it down hard. Not good. Shave. Kaku's pupils shrank, and immediately used the 6-style shaving in addition to the thrill. His body, showing a teleportation posture, disappeared in place. The moment he disappeared, Layfon's slash reached the place where he was standing before. Boom. Another bang. The huge floor tiles were forcibly split open with a ferocious crack more than 10 meters away. The ground of the entire alley trembled and shook violently as if under the bombardment of this terrifying force, and the walls on both sides seemed to be shaking and wanted to collapse to the side. Click, click. The floor tiles were shattered, and cracks were opened like spider webs, which filled the streets farther away, and even spread to the walls on both sides. Even the wall was torn apart with dense cracks by this terrifying force, which looked extraordinarily horrifying. Rumble. The wall was shaken, shattering pieces of tiny wall fragments, falling straight down from the high altitude on both sides of the wall, and sprinkled on the corners and edges like dust. Good risk. Kaku appeared tens of meters away, his face was pale, he wiped the sweat from his forehead, and looked at the place where he was standing before. Then, advertisement. He saw the place where he was standing before, the scene where the ground was forcibly split into a hideous crack more than 10 meters away, which made him feel lingering fear and a look of fear on his face. If not even dodge, he could have been split in half on the spot. That slash was so fishy that it was terrifying. Tempest kick, unexpectedly defeated in an instant. This guy is really strong. Kaku's throat was dry, and he stared at Layfon's direction. When the rest of CP9 members saw this scene, their hearts became heavier and more fearful. Undoubtedly, Layfon's strength is beyond their imagination. Be careful. Khalifa's pink lips parted slightly, reminding her with lingering fear. A strong sense of crisis filled her heart. The other side. Lu Chi's figure has appeared behind Layfon's mind. Finger pistol. Lu Chi stabbed out with one finger, aiming at the back of Layfon's head. The finger that gathers the strength of the body seems to penetrate the air, aiming at the back of Layfon's head with an indomitable momentum. Do not hesitate. Simple and rude. One finger P*******. K. Unexpectedly, Layfon seemed to have eyes in the back of his head, and with a slight tilt of his head, he avoided Lu Chi's finger without any risk. 750. Your offensive intentions are too obvious. Even if I close my eyes, I can feel your strong offensive intentions. As an excellent agent, what you have to learn is to hide your intentions and goals. Only in this way can you be invisible. So, have you forgotten all of your secret agent experience over the years? Layfon turned his head, with a playful smile on his face, quietly looking at Lu Chi's figure. Lu Chi, who was stared at by Layfon, only felt a cold air rising from the soles of his feet to the top of the sky, which made him feel a rare feeling, and his back felt cold. Danger. Not good. A strong sense of crisis made Lu Chi's eyelids start to twitch crazily. Shave. Lu Chi's throat was dry, and he was about to run away immediately, keeping a safe distance from Layfon. If you miss one blow, you will flee away immediately. However, before Lu Chi could react, Layfon's knife has been cut off. Hide. Can you hide? Layfon's eyes sparkled brightly. How would you describe his swordsmanship? There is only one word to describe it. Quick. It is too fast. The knife flashes. The blade has been swung down. Like a flash of thunder, the thunder resounded across the sky. The speed is so fast that it is impossible to react. The sharp blade slid down, and the air seemed to be torn apart. Lu Chi could only feel that his pupils were stabbed fiercely by the flashing halo of the knife light, and it became a little stinging, which made his vision appear in a trance and double image for a short time. But even so, Lu Chi's eyes were still wide open, and the eyeballs were already covered with bloodshot eyes, which kept him in a state of high concentration. The sharp blade of Master Sisijian kept approaching his body. A faint smell of blood wafted from the blade. He could smell this faint smell of blood very clearly. Near. The blade is getting closer. Layfon's swordsmanship does not have too many fancy swordsmanship skills. The easiest. Also the most concise. There are 2 actions in total. Cut off. That's it. However, such a simple knife brought endless pressure to Lu Chi in front of him, making all the cells in his body throbbing crazily and trembling. Advertisement.